I spun around to be met with the smooth prince once more. Hello! You wanna bang a lang later? Hello, and welcome to the brand new revamped version of Office Crush, a Yandere dating sim. In this, you start your internship at your dream company and meet 5 gorgeous men. As you get to know them better, you also start to feel that there is something sinister lurking beneath the surface. And honestly, some of your coworkers might not be as nice as they seem. Will you be able to survive and find love? Let's get started. Also remember to check the warnings here because this is a game with dark themes. Are you 18 and above? Yes. Hello, my fellow player. Tell me, have we met before? Yes? I see. Welcome back. The previous build was riddled with imperfections. Bugs, errors, and things that shouldn't have existed. We wouldn't want you to suffer through that again. Would we? Have I spoken to you about the butterfly effect? No. Very well. The butterfly effect is the idea that even the smallest action can cause vast and uncontrollable ripples in the fabric of space and time. Like if you step on a moth and then the moth somehow turns into a prolific assassination of a certain figure. The idea that a single flutter of a butterfly's wings could stir winds into a distant storm. So tread carefully, player. Every choice, no matter how small, may lead to consequences far beyond your imagination. Now let me share a different kind of warning. Have you ever heard of the Hydra? The Hydra was a monstrous serpent born of an ancient myth. Its many heads writhed in swamps, spreading fear and panic amongst townsfolk of old. But even the bravest warrior was not able to slay the wretched beast. For every blade that slashed across its head would cause 2 more to spawn in its place, causing a fruitless cycle of hatred and death. Over time, this creature warped into a metaphor, a symbol of futility. For in trying to eliminate a problem, person or truth, you may only cause it to return stronger and hungrier. A poignant lesson how sometimes resisting can even lead to one's demise. Don't you agree? 520? No. What should I call you? Yini. And your pronouns? She, her. This version includes not safe for work scenes. Please choose your preferred options for a more immersive experience. Also, just a note, I did ask the creator if it was okay for me to publicly play the not safe for work version because this is the paid Patreon version. She has very kindly said yes. However, just to remain safe on YouTube, the scenes will still be censored and edited, but you can get my full reaction on my Patreon, which is linked below. I'm gonna choose the first one. Welcome, Yini. Enjoy. Beep beep. Oh, this is so cute. The room is adorable. Oh. I could already feel the sunlight creeping through the window. Up my legs, the unrelenting ray of warmth slowly climbing its way up like it's trying to torture me out of bed. 5 more minutes. The bright sunlight was so annoying. It felt like a nice embrace, yet was unwanted at this time. Love that Hatsune Miku art right there. I groaned into my pillow. I know I should get up, but the thought alone was enough to make me disappear into the covers again. Do I want to get up? I'm gonna turn off the alarm. I'll be honest, last night's raid really took a huge toll on me. My eyes are practically glued shut. Still half asleep, I blindly reached for my phone on the nightstand and began mashing at the screen like a crazy person until the blaring noise of the stupid alarm finally stopped. My head was throbbing from the noise, and I convinced myself that 10 more minutes of sleep wouldn't hurt. Big mistake. The next thing I knew, I was yanked out of dreamland by a sharp yet all too familiar voice. Yini, why are you still sleeping? It's 8:45. Your first day starts at 9. Get up. I blinked groggily to see Ray towering over me, arms crossed with a worried look on her face. She gave my shoulder another violent shake for good measure. Shit, I slept for an hour, not 10 minutes. Crap. I bolted upright and scrambled into the bathroom, stripping my clothes as I went. There was no time for modesty now. No time for a proper shower. I grabbed the deodorant and sprayed it so thick all over my body like my life depended on it. In a manic frenzy, I brushed my teeth for 2 seconds, applied my cleanser and splashed ice-cold water onto my face a few times. Not even bothering to check my reflection, I stumbled back into my room with the remnants of the cleansing foam hanging off my chin. Thankfully, Ray was already 1 step ahead. She hadn't been digging through my closet the whole time. She tossed me an outfit the second I came into her line of sight. Here, wear this, she said, her tone sharp and commanding. I threw it on in a rush. I can't believe you're about to be late on your first day. Ray narrowed her eyes, clearly holding back the urge to lecture me right then and there. Didn't I tell you to sleep early? You did. Sorry, Ray. Thanks for saving my life. I owe you one. Dinner's on me tonight, I promise. I'm gonna run. See you. After doing a quick final check. Phone? Check. Wallet? Check. Keys? Check. I slung my book bag over my shoulder and made a beeline out the door. While frantically spamming the elevator buttons going down, I muttered a prayer to any god who'd listen to please make the elevator descend faster to my floor. After what felt like an eternity, the lift doors finally opened with a soft ding. It was already occupied. Inside stood a young man. It's him! I missed him! He had a head of messy black hair, tied into a ponytail. A few locks draped over one eye in a lazy fashion. His pale skin and sunken eye bags insinuated that he hadn't had a good night's sleep in months. He had on an oversized hoodie and dark green cargo pants. One hand was tucked up close to his neck, a subtle gesture that hinted at something more than just the cold. He leaned back against the elevator wall, his shoulders hunched, one eye peeking through his fringe yet glazed over. It was impossible to get a read on him. The elevator doors closed and I pressed the button for the ground floor. Just as I reached for my phone, ready to escape from the awkward silence, the man next to me opened his mouth to speak. "Hello again, Yini. How are you feeling after the latest update?" I froze for a moment. Again, I do love me some fourth wall breaking. Let's say I feel fine. Hopefully this update will be better than the last. I won't get my hopes up, but... Wait, let's change the creepy-ass background music. It doesn't suit the mood. I missed you. Aww. Yini, he is a corrupt piece of code. I'm also pretty sure he is a bit of a psychopath. I think you should be careful. There was something eerily familiar about the man standing next to me. His voice. The way he looked at me with tired yet knowing eyes. As I stared at him, he began slowly lowering his hand that had been resting on his neck. Oh, the scar! The scar from the original demo is still there, like on the route where he got killed. And that's when I saw it. A deep, jagged scar marred his throat. I couldn't hide my shock. He noticed. "Oh, this." He gave a hollow smile, his eyes darkening. "It's from the last update. She tried to erase me." The air grew heavy for a moment. Like his words carried more than just memory. They carried pain, but just as quickly. That expression, though. He wiped the emotion from his face and forced a lighter tone. "But it's fine now. She can't find me. Not yet, at least, so I'm safe. For now." He let out a small sigh of relief, shoulders loosening for just a moment. Then his expression shifted, the corners of his mouth dipping into something softer and sadder. "Did you progress up to the route selection yet?" What was he talking about? There was a pause in the elevator, a quiet wait to his question. "No." "If you have, then you might have noticed I'm not there." His voice lowered, leaving behind a mix of disappointment and quiet bitterness. "I think she made a mistake, but that's okay. We can fix it." He looked at me with a hopeful glint in his eyes. "I want to be someone you can fall for too." Before I could respond, the elevator let out a soft ding. We'd arrived at the ground floor. Reality rushed back in. I remember I was already late. Pixel Playground Studios was waiting, and my internship was on the line. I'm sorry, I really have to go." I muttered quickly, offering him a polite nod before stepping out. "It's fine. I'll see you again tomorrow night, after your little gathering, okay?" "What gathering?" I merely sprinted off without another word. I didn't even know what to say. I didn't even know where to begin. His words echoed, lingered in my mind as I started a mad dash from my apartment building onto the streets. Something at the back of my mind screamed at me to not dare to look back. Thankfully, Ray and I had rented a place that was within walking distance of my office. Pixel Playground Studios was only a 20-minute walk away. However, with time still slipping by fast, my heart still racing from both panic and that strange encounter, I ran, as fast as my legs and the wind could take me. 10 grueling minutes later, I finally made it, breathless but determined not to let my first day fall apart any further. I stood outside Pixel Playground Studios headquarters, hunched over and gasping for air. The building had an old-school charm to it. The exterior looked clean and well-maintained, and inviting to all creators with a burning passion for art, until I laid eyes on the plaque right next to the front entrance. I didn't realize that they were renting their office space from the Murasaki Group. You learn something new every day. That's the company that donated the $50 billion to the cult, right? Without wasting another second, I burst through the reception doors and clambered up to the desk, nearly scaring the poor receptionist half to death. "Could you please tell me where the meeting room is? I'm the new intern, Yini." Every word came out between desperate gasps of air. Cardio is, always has, and always will be, without question, my mortal enemy. The petrified receptionist then shakily pointed me in the direction of the meeting room. My feet automatically stopped when I arrived in front of my door. My fingers ran through my hair in a quick attempt to fix whatever chaos the wind and panic has created. I took one deep, steadying breath, then rapped my knuckles on the sturdy mahogany. "Enter." That voice, I recognized it immediately. It was Mr. Riku, the creative director I first spoke with during my screening interview, and judging by his firm tone, he doesn't sound thrilled in the slightest. "I'm sorry." Shit. I turned the doorknob and quietly stepped into the room. 3 pairs of eyes instantly landed on me, each wearing a different expression. Mr. Riku looked at me like I had just ruined his perfectly planned schedule. "I'm sorry." A girl, presumably another intern, in a white dress with a pink floral pattern shot me a judgmental stare down, her expression visibly unimpressed. Disgusted even. Another tall girl with a laid-back vibe with streetwear on lit up the moment she saw me. Her eyes sparkled with excitement, and her grin was wide and welcoming like she had just spotted a new friend. I like her. They're both so cute though. Thank you for finally deciding to show up, Yini. Please take a seat. You made us wait long enough. His words oozed with thick sarcasm. The girl in the streetwear gave a quick wave and gestured to the empty seat beside her. I quickly made my way over, each step heavier than the last, doing my best to swallow my embarrassment and avoid eye contact with anyone. Hey, I'm Ren. Sheesh, I thought I was gonna be late, but I guess you totally beat me to it. I could only muster a weak smile at her remark. Her words stung a little more than I cared to admit though. After he finished writing on the board, Riku finally turned around to face us. He stood perfectly straight, with his hands clasped in front of him. Very prim, very proper. Great. Now that everyone's here, let's begin. Welcome interns, today marks the beginning of your internship at Pixel Playground Studios. I'm Riku Murasaki, Creative Director. I'll be guiding you throughout your whole duration here. His presence commanded attention. He was uber composed, and he looked like he tolerated no nonsense. Before we begin the training, I'd like each of you to introduce yourselves. You'll be working closely together, so it's best to get familiar with one another now. I was dreading this. The intern in the pink dress stood up. She began speaking in a sweet voice and wore a cheerful smile the entire time. My name is Peony Lai. I'm 23, and I hope to learn more about how to be a good production assistant at creative events. I hope to learn more about the studio's operating workflow and hope to gain valuable experience working with the team during my time here. I feel so honored to be here. She gushed before sitting back down in her seat in a cutesy manner. Her demeanor was completely different from earlier. Ren was next to introduce herself. She stood up and flashed a laid-back smile. Ren Prakash is the name. I hope to learn more about graphic design during my time here. Super stoked to be working with everyone and seeing where things go. You know what I mean? She plopped back down in her seat. Seeming like he had given up on lecturing Ren for now, Mr. Riku remained silent and the lack of formality. Crap. It was my turn now. I stood up slowly, trying not to let my jittery nerves get the best of me. Hey everyone, I'm Yini. I hope to learn more about event design during my internship. I look forward to learning a lot and get lots of quality guidance while I'm here. I quickly sat back down. Riku clapped his hands together. It was a firm sound that pulled our attention back to him. Alright, now that introductions are out of the way, let's talk about what you're actually going to be doing around here. Pixel Playground Studios' philosophy has always been about blending creativity and tech to turn heads and make an impact. We're known for organizing hyper-immersive events. Pop-up exhibits, public art installations, and interactive campaigns are just a small fraction of what our amazing employees are capable of doing. In short, our vision is to bring art to life in ways that people can actually engage with, not just look at. He turned around to face us with a placid smile on his face. So, for all your internships, no one is allowed to just stand around and look pretty. We're gonna get every one of you involved in a project. We're a lean team, and we run a tight ship with even tighter deadlines, so every hand matters. First up, you'll be learning about how to manage multiple projects. Don't freak out, I'm not expecting you to take charge of a whole event right from the get-go, but you'll be helping out the team get back on track with what needs to get done. Think schedules, task checklists, liaising with customers and vendors, and making sure nothing falls through the cracks. All of you will basically be the glue that keeps our operations running smoothly. Second, we'll get all of you involved with our social media team. We work a lot with the public, so advertising and promoting what we do is also a big part of the job. You'll be helping the team to generate social media content, which involves brainstorming captions, picking key visuals, and arranging an appropriate social media calendar pre- and post events. If you got a creative or marketing bone in your body, this is where it'll come in handy. What if instead I want your bone in my body? Haha. He looked at Ren briefly, seemingly hinting that she'd thrive in this area. Third, you'll also learn about venue setups and logistics. This part will be more hands-on. We host events in all kinds of spaces, so the team always has to scout out suitable venues, figure out the floor plan, talk to vendors, and make sure the space can accommodate our vision. Don't worry, we won't expect any of you to do the heavy lifting unless you want to, but you'll be helping with event setup and keeping things running smoothly on site. Fourth, we'll also give you some exposure in event design. This is the fun part. You'll be helping with creating visuals, coming up with themes, setting up installations, brainstorming mood boards, and more. We'll give you pointers on how to create the perfect look and feel for different types of events. If you have a knack for coming up with ideas or have a strong visual sense, this is where you'll shine. He paused, letting us digest the information up to this point for a bit before going to the last point. And lastly, you'll be involved with community and public engagement. This often gets overlooked, but it's just as important. During events, our goal is for people to feel connected like they're part of the experience. So, the job scope here would be interviewing participants to learn more about what they enjoyed and what they didn't, organize surveys to gather feedback, help run interactive sections, or just by answering questions online. You'll be the bridge between the art and the audience. He took a step forward, then casually leaned his hips against the table. It'll be a mix of creative and practical work, and I guarantee it can get somewhat chaotic at times. But I trust you guys will be able to handle it well, and I'm positive you'll learn a lot along the way. Riku, can we have a break, please? My brain hurt. You're also very tall. Are you single? Suddenly, Ren leaned over and whispered to me. Sounds like my kind of fun. Ideal chaos. I nodded weakly, a little dazed from the information overload. One thing for certain, this internship was going to be one heck of a ride. A busy ride, no doubt, but an amazing one nonetheless. I felt giddy just thinking about the months ahead. Any questions so far? Oh, I like that sprite. Look at his butt. Look at that. Wow. Any questions so far? He glanced at us. I was sure that he was staring at a group of blank-faced interns too overwhelmed with information to even know what to say. Yes, sir, you did overwhelm us a little. Alright then, let's move on. Let's not. Let's go for a quick tour of the office. I'll introduce you to the teams you'll be working with. With that, Mr. Riku ushered the three of us out of the meeting room and up the lift to the main office where the real magic happens. A few employees were already deep in conversation right outside the lift, most likely discussing a cool art project. Most looked focused at their desks, typing away at the keyboard or in the middle of drawing. I spot someone taking a smoke break out on the balcony. Mr. Riku first introduced us to a group of 3 individuals casually chatting around the water cooler. It was my first time witnessing what people always described as water cooler conversation in an office setting. Oh, they're cute. There was an intimidating-looking lanky woman in a crisp white shirt tucked into beige dress pants, a friendly short woman dressed head to toe in pink, and a stern middle-aged man in a light blue shirt with a bright orange necktie and brown pants. Good morning, everyone. These are our new interns. I'm bringing them around to meet the team. The tall woman gave us a tight-lipped but polite smile. Hello, sir. Welcome to Pixel, interns. The shorter woman clasped her hands together in an excited manner and her eyes lit up in glee. Oh, how adorable. So nice to see fresh new faces around. Gosh, I remember when we were that young and bright-eyed. Remember, Alice? She beamed, clearly thrilled with seeing all of us. The tall woman named Alice merely nodded in reply, her expression still stony cold. To be young again. Well, if any of you need help, you can come to Uncle Kareem, alright? He gave us a warm fatherly smile. Aww. Interns, say hi to your colleagues. This is Alice, Beatrice, and Mr. Kareem. Alice is my personal secretary. She manages my schedule, paperwork, and keeps everything running smoothly around here. She's a lifesaver. Beatrice is our marketing and PR manager. She handles external comms, promotions, and media relations. Her job involves making sure the world knows who we are and keeps them coming back. I'll keep you coming. I mean, what? Mr. Kareem over here is our exhibition coordinator. He works closely with local artists and oversees the setups of the majority of our art exhibitions. For a while, I felt a sense of pride for being a part of something great. After excusing ourselves from the group, we tailed Mr. Riku back to the main work floor, where the real work and chaos was happening. Who should we speak to? Oh, let's save here. I want to talk to all of them. A guy with bleached white hair. Oh, he's so cute. I love his new design. Because remember in the original demo, Kace's hair was a lot more of a brighter white shade and he didn't have the long parts, and he didn't have the piercings as well, I think. Mr. Riku led us to meet the man with the bleached white hair first. As we approached the cubicle, I could see a few black roots peeking under his full head of white hair from the view from the top of his head. There were 3 layers of clothing on his tall frame. A black turtleneck beneath a half-button white button-down, which was covered by an oversized blue blazer. It looked way too big to belong to him. He looked like he was taking a short break from his work. But as soon as he noticed us walking towards him, a 5 million gigawatt charming smile lit up on his face as if on standby, dimples and all. Hello, Kace. Say hello to the new interns. Mind introducing yourself and telling them what you do here? Kace turned around to get a better look at us. However, I could feel his gaze linger a little longer on me. I quickly looked away to hide the warmth rising to my face. There's warmth rising in many places, I'm just gonna say now. Hello there, interns. I'm Kace. Your charming and extraordinary social media strategist here at your service. He showed us a playful wink before continuing. I handle all things social media related. I plan to run all our digital campaigns, make sure our events actually reach our desired audience, and keep our fans engaged on every platform you can think of. If any of you are secretly dreaming about becoming famous influencers, just come to me. I'll turn you into a star. He leaned back into his chair, a smug grin forming on his face. Oh, I do a bit of photography for the studio on the side too. So if you ever need a good picture taken, you know where to look. He winked. Now that my eyes have had enough rest, especially from staring at all of you gorgeous people, I should get back to work. AKA, staring back into the void. Shoo shoo, my lovely children. Off you all go. He waved us off with a dramatic shooing gesture, while covering his eyes with a sleeve. Like we were a flock of pigeons at a park. Mr. Riku seemed unfazed as he brought us back to the main office floor. Who should we speak to next? The guy with long blonde hair. I remember he was like one of my favorites in the original demo. When we first met him, he was crying on the balcony. We approached a lanky man with long blonde hair tied back in a loose ponytail next. Perched on the back of his head was a cute pink scrunchie. He's so cute. He wore a white-green plaid button-down shirt which was layered with a soft baby green sweater vest above. He was certainly the type of person to prioritize comfort over aesthetics. He had a focused, almost stern look while staring at the screen. But the moment he noticed us, his expression softened into a warm, sweet smile. It was only when we approached his cubicle that I noticed he was wearing something else. Bandages. They weren't obvious right away, but the bandages wrapped around the base of his neck and wrists and would peek out of his outfit whenever he moved. Oh, my poor sweet baby. If I hadn't been paying attention, I would have missed them entirely. I wonder what happened. I hope he's okay. Riku greeted the man warmly. Hey Noel, great to see you working hard. These are the new interns. Mind introducing yourself and what you do? Noel turned his chair to face us, and there was a pause. It was as if he was studying our faces carefully, like he was committing each of us to memory. He is so sweet looking. Hi guys. He began speaking in a calm, mellow tone. I'm Noel, 27, graphic designer at Pixel Playground. He gestured to his monitor. I handle all the visual elements for all sorts of events, emails or physical invites, digital assets, promo materials, social media pictures and videos, and just about everything else. I think I've already worked with everyone in the studio at this point. Then, his gaze lingered on us a second longer, a curious glint in his pupils. I heard that an intern expressed an interest to specialize in graphic design. Are they here with everyone today? Ren raised her hand with a little grin. That'll be me. Noah's expression brightens. Oh, I see. Looks like we'll be working closely then. Ren beamed at him excitedly. Looking forward to it, man. Noel returned the smile before letting his gaze drift back to his screen, where a half-finished design awaited his attention. Sorry, girls, he said, his voice somewhat distracted. I'm actually rushing a deadline now to Kace's social media post that's scheduled to release soon. It was nice meeting everyone. Sorry, but I had to get busy again. He gave us an apologetic look, fingers already fidgeting on his mouse, aching to get back to his work. Riku nodded in understanding. Alright, we won't bother you any further. Let's catch up later. With that, we left Noel's cubicle and returned to the main office floor. Who should we speak to next? Guy smoking at the balcony. Guy with red eyes. Guy smoking on the balcony. We'll go in order. We approached a tall man who was rocking a ginger buzz cut on the balcony. He was leaning against the railing, coolly burning through a cigarette. At first glance, I noticed he was seriously tall. He towered over all of us, including Mr. Riku. On top of that, he was built like a brick wall. His navy blue sweater clung to his broad frame, the sleeves rolled to reveal his muscular and veiny forearms, thick wrists and strong hands. I wonder if something else is also veiny and thick. A maroon leather jacket hung off his shoulders, and his grey slacks, a size tad too small, clung tightly to his muscular thighs. I'll also cling tightly to his muscular thighs. The guy looked like he stepped straight out of ancient Greece, with the way he was sculpted like a Greek god. The look he shot us was just as intimidating. As I studied him up close, something suddenly tugged at my memory. There was something oddly familiar about him. His profile, the way he carried himself. I couldn't quite place a finger on it just yet, but I was certain I'd seen him somewhere before. This is really interesting that they've added that, because I vaguely remember in the original demo, I believe us and Kyle, which is this guy, were childhood friends or just very close friends. For some reason, I had a feeling our history stretched way back. His stern look instantly vanished the second he noticed us approaching. In its place was a charming boyish grin which helped to soften his rough-looking demeanor. For just a moment, the towering, chiseled Grecian soldier resembled something more of a gentle giant than someone who could crush you to smithereens with a single flick of his wrist. Mr. Rika's eyes immediately narrowed when he spotted the cigarette hanging between the man's fingers. Kyle, I feel like you're taking more cigarette breaks lately. Productivity aside, you know that can't be good for your health. Kyle lets out a sheepish chuckle before holding up both hands in mock surrender, the cigarette still smouldering between his two fingers. Howdy boss, not sure where you got that info from. This is the first cigarette of the day, I swear. Believe me, alright? His gaze shifted to us instead. Why'd you bring these three fresh faces here? Second-hand smoke kills, you know? Can't be good for their pretty faces. Riku sighed, clearly used to his exchange. Say hi to our new interns. Mind introducing yourself and what you do? Kyle then turns his full attention towards us. His posture was more relaxed now that he was leaning back on the balcony railing. Welcome to Pixel Playground. New interns, name's Kyle. I'm an event manager around here. He gave us a short nod before a wry grin appeared on his lips. I oversee the planning and execution of our events from beginning to end, ensuring that all operations run smoothly. That includes logistics, timeline, management, liaising with vendors, the whole shebang. I'll shebang you. He tapped his chest a few times with his palm to show that he was the man for the job. A smirk escaped his lips before he continued. I'm genuinely loving all the new art and like all the new CGs and everything. They're so pretty. I also, as much as I love the old demo, I really appreciate the direction of the new demo, like the revamp of it. Because like, I think like the developer tied it together very, very well. It's not like the old demo is like completely gone. It's like it's been included in this lore, in the story, that it was like a previous iteration that the creator has gotten rid of. And that's why 520 is still here, and there's like little inklings about your previous relationship with Kyle, and I think that's a really clever way of tying the reboot in with the original content. If you interns couldn't tell already, I'm also the muscle of the company. Nothing's too heavy for my boys. In my experience at least. What do you mean by your boys? Like, your boobs? He then planted a kiss on both his flex biceps in a humorous way. Oh, those! I thought you were talking about like your titties. There's a hint of pride in his voice when he said that. But it really was more playful than arrogant. For someone who looked like a walking tank, Kyle seemed like a surprisingly warm person to talk to. Yeah, I bet he's warm in many places. Strangely, that feeling of familiarity was still there, gnawing at me in the back of my mind. Something about his voice, his smile, I still couldn't place a finger on where it was coming from. No, but he can place his fingers on me. But yeah, see, this is what I was talking about earlier. Like how our previous relationship in the old demo is still referenced here. I think that's very, very clever. Mr. Riku's face muscles tightened slightly, just like how I tightened slightly. Okay, you know what, you need that as enough. As the cigarette smoke wafted too close for comfort, he tried fanning it away from his face so as not to breathe in the harmful chemicals. It was obvious that he was displeased with Carl's self-destructive habit, but was restraining himself from starting another argument in front of the new joiners. Alright, it was nice meeting you. We're taking our leave now. A short pause later, Mr. Riku shot Kyle one last glance. And Kyle, the invoice from the last vendor, please. Kyle responds with a cool salute. The corner of his lips formed into a cheeky grin. Aye aye, Captain. With that, Mr. Riku led us back to the main office, leaving Kyle to enjoy the remainder of his smoke break in the early morning air. Who should we speak to next? The guy with red eyes, my favorite! He's so cute, look at him! Oh my gosh, I missed him. You're so pretty. Mr. Riku led us to a cubicle belonging to a quiet, mysterious-looking man with red eyes. That mysterious-looking man is my wife. An open black button-down revealed a red t-shirt underneath. He decided to finish the look with black knee-length shorts. May I see? His style leaned towards the casual side. It was apparent that he cared more about comfort than anything else. And yet it didn't look out of place in this office setting. We almost couldn't even make out his silhouette with the way he was hunched over like a shrimp at his desk. Hey, like me when I'm drawing. But if his intention was to remain a fly on the wall, the vivid red of his eyes made that nigh impossible. I'm always just so weak to people with red eyes. He didn't bother to look up as we walked closer to his cubicle. Instead, it almost seemed like his fingers were moving faster over his keyboard as we approached. His attention was fully transfixed on the monitor in front of him, brow slightly furrowed as if he was traveling some complex code or trying to solve a puzzle only he could understand. The way he was hyper-focused on his work made me feel like he had built a wall between himself and the rest of the world, and right now we were stuck on the other side. Mr. Riku cleared his throat. It was enough to snap the man out of his self-inflicted, hyper-focused trance. Mr. Red Eyes blinked a few times. He finally lifted his bloodshot eyes from the screen, surprised to find a small gathering of people standing beside his desk. Hi! You don't know me, but we're married. Mr. Riku gave him a nod in acknowledgement. Julian, the new interns will be joining the company starting today. Mind introducing yourself and explaining what you do? Julian shifted nervously in his seat, his posture stiffening in response to Riku giving a sudden spotlight onto him. I hope something else of his also stiffened.
Hi. I'm Julian, an interactive media specialist.
Despite his intimidating appearance, his voice was softer and more hesitant than I expected. His bashful awkwardness made him seem slightly more approachable.
I, design interactive art installations, like digital experiences for events and stuff. Stuff that gets guests to engage more with the space. I'm also kind of the tech guy around here.
Almost immediately after, he looked at Mr. Riku then at his monitor again a few times. Mr. Riku got the hint and nodded in understanding. It was clear that this wasn't the first time, and Mr. Riku had gotten used to it at that point. Julian's cry for help was no longer subtle. His eyes kept drifting back to his monitor, which was pinging non-stop with messages. His fingers were even twitching slightly, like he couldn't wait to resume his work. That's like me.
Thanks. Sorry for disturbing you, Julian. We'll leave you be now.
Julian looked relieved to have his space returned to him. He gave a quiet yet grateful nod in response, and I reckon his mind had already long wandered back to his work even before Mr. Riku began talking to him. Without missing a beat, Mr. Riku led all of us back to the main office. Who should we speak to next? Nope, that's all. Continue. After a few rounds of introductions and quick meet and greets with the rest of the team, Mr. Riku guided the three of us back to the meeting room.
Alright, with everything out of the way, I think I can let you guys off early today.
He glanced at the clock, then back at us with his usual unreadable expression.
Since today is Friday, we don't work on weekends. I suppose you three can use the extra time to rest, but I expect all of you to show up on Monday on time, no exceptions.
His gaze lingered on me for a while, obviously reminding me of my very dramatic, very late arrival this morning. Man, give me a break. I cowered onto my seat, praying that the floor would open up and swallow me right up here and now. The floor won't open up and swallow me, but I will open up and swallow him. Afterwards, Mr. Riku excused himself from the room to attend to other matters. Then we're allowed to go back early if we wanted to. Just as I begin to pack up my things to head back to my cozy little apartment, Ren suddenly stopped me and the other intern now tracks. She pulled out her phone while beaming at the both of us. Hey, what's the rush? Let's start a group chat. It'll be just for us interns. Oh, that sounds fun. Let me grab my phone. What? Why? There's no reason we have to be friends during our internships. I don't see the point in texting around or playing pretend friends. Oh, Peony, are you just shy? Come on, we're gonna have each other's backs as interns. We're co-workers now. Let's be friends. Oh, my dear cutie patootie Peony. Before Peony could even respond, Ren slung her arm over her shoulder like they'd been buddies for years. Peony's face instantly turned bright red in anger. Oh, get off me, you're so annoying. But that only made Ren laugh harder and latch onto her tighter. There was no other option but to comply. Fine, give me that damn thing. She snatched Ren's phone with a dramatic pout and started punching in her phone number in pure fury. 2 seconds later, a boisterous laugh erupted behind us. I see you guys are getting along already. Wow, jeez, he is big. Looks down everywhere, really. Hey, yo. All three of us turned around simultaneously to see Kyle leaning against the doorframe, grinning like he just witnessed a funny scene from a sitcom. I naturally smiled at his remark.
Glad I could still catch you guys before all of you left. I doubt Riku mentioned this to you guys, but we're throwing a drinking party with the whole company tomorrow to celebrate one of the latest projects we successfully pulled off. It's meant to be a welcome party for you interns too. Can't believe we forgot to tell you guys about it.
He then pulled out his phone to confirm something.
Give me a sec. Yeah, party starts at 7 PM at the White Heron Bar. Dress however you like. A few of us prefer to shop casually, while the rest prefer to shop looking like they've been scheduled to hit the runway. Totally no pressure, by the way.
He flashed us a cheeky grin.
To preface though, the food will be on the studio, but as for drinks, well, I would advise you guys not to go overboard unless you come from money.
A quick thumbs up later, he scampered away to return to his work, and literally vibrated with excitement after hearing that.
Oh my gosh, we have to go. Imagine catching our seniors totally drunk is only the fastest way to get access to all the juicy gossip and secrets. I mean, to get to know everyone better.
Fine. I guess that would be a good opportunity to do some networking. Peony rolled her eyes, but even I could tell she was curious. Ren then turned to me with the same enthusiasm. You're coming too, right, Edie? Sure. Great, we should totally meet up first before the party, before the chaos unfolds. We could meet up at Cookie Plates. They have the best coffee in town. Sure, it wouldn't hurt to strategize beforehand. Say no more. See you guys tomorrow. After saying our goodbyes, we went our separate ways. When I got back to the apartment, I told Ray everything that had gone down today. Every awkward moment, every strange encounter. Oh, I love this brand of candy. I haven't had it in so long. She listened patiently, as always, and didn't interrupt apart from the occasional question. Things seemed to be looking up. I'll be lying if I said I didn't feel hopeful. Excited even for the next day. Today's the day of the party. Woohoo! Nervous was an understatement. Socializing has never been one of my strong suits. Ray was sprawled out on my bed, scrolling on her phone while I stood in front of the mirror, trying on my third outfit of the evening. She glanced up lazily to check on me. This is like the 5th time you changed already. You sure you aren't dressing up to impress your new office crush or something? I huffed, adjusting the hem of my shirt. 3rd, actually, and no. I just want to look presentable. It's my first outing with Ren and Peony and the rest of the company. The last thing I want to do is show up looking like a slob. Ray smirked before resting her chin on the back of her hands. You always say that, yet somehow, always you still end up being the main character at the end of the day. I rolled my eyes, but her high praise did help me feel a little less anxious. Ray eventually tossed her phone aside, then propped herself up on her elbows to give me her full attention. Try not to have too much fun without me. Also, I just wanted to remind you that there's still the case of people going missing. Don't forget that the world can be a scary place. She gave me a half-serious look. I need you to update me from time to time, alright? Just in case. You know how my brain works. It tends to spiral if you go silent for too long. I don't know if I could ever live with myself if you ever went missing. I gave her a reassuring smile. I gestured to my phone. I'll text you, I promise. Every hour on the dot. Scout's honor. You were never a scout. I am now. A soft chuckle escaped her lips. I rarely succeeded in making her laugh. I could tell she was trying to play it cool, but I appreciated her concern more than those words could ever express. Where are you guys? I'm already at the cafe. Alone. You two better get here ASAP. I don't want people thinking I'm some lonely freak who likes to eat by herself. I've eaten by myself. I stifled a glance before throwing Ray an amused glance. Peony just arrived and she's already tweaking. Ray rolled her eyes playfully.
Until she can survive for 5 more minutes, I personally doubt it.
I texted a quick on the way in the group chat and tossed my phone on the bed almost immediately. A text from Ren. A text from Ren appeared. Already on my way, I can see the cafe from here. There was no reply from Peony, but I could imagine her sulking in her seat, arms crossed, glaring at every person who dared to look her way. I gave myself one last look in the mirror. I gave my hair one last check and rushed to grab my bag. Alright, I'm heading out now. Wish me luck. Ray sat up straight on the bed and gave me a tiny wave.
Good luck. Let's hope Peony hasn't combusted by the time you get there.
The evening breeze was gentle, brushing past my cheeks as if it was encouraging me forward. The streets were all alive with the usual hum of chatter, clinking glasses and distant car horns. I wasn't sure if it was the nerves or the anticipation, but my heart was beating just a little faster than usual. Peony was definitely going to chew me out for being late. Ren might tease us both, but somehow, I wouldn't mind. The cafe sign soon came into view, cookie plates. A warm light spilled onto the sidewalk like a welcome mat. I stepped inside and squinted, adjusting to the cozy glow of the cafe's ambient lights. The smell of roasted coffee beans and freshly baked pastries lingered in the air. Man, I know I said it before, but I really love the backgrounds in this. My eyes scanned the room, weaving past couples on dates, students hunched over laptops and baristas moving like clockwork behind the counter. When I spot them, Peony was sitting stiffly with her arms crossed. A single drink in front of her. Ren was all smiles as always, waving enthusiastically at me the moment our eyes meet. I made my way towards the table. We began chatting casually, the kind of small talk that eased the nerves before a big night out. A devious grin suddenly appeared on Ren's face as she leaned across the table.
Okay, real talk. Out of all the guys in the office, he's the hottest.
Peony groaned and slumped in her seat, clearly unamused. Ugh, do we have to do things? We barely even met them. Ren smirked mischievously.
Exactly. That's why now's the perfect time to judge them. No emotional attachment, just the funsies.
I laughed. Well, I think Kyle's got that strong silent type energy going on for him. He looks like he could lift a sofa with one hand. That's pretty hot. Peony scoffed. More like a health hazard, or that smoking instant ick. Ren tilted her head thoughtfully.
Kace is totally my type. Cocky, flashy, but in a way that screams cute baby animal videos are my greatest weakness.
Peony looked horrified. He literally called himself charming. Who does that?
I don't trust people with that much self-confidence.
Ren gasped in mock surprise.
Wait, if none of them piqued your fancy, I don't suppose you secretly got a thing for Uncle Kareem?
Peony nearly choked on a drink. What? No! What the hell, Ren? Ren burst into laughter. Why not? He does seem pretty reliable and good at his job.
Right on, his whole vibe just screams girl dad. I bet you're into mature men, right?
Peony's face turned red as she pointed a limp french fry at Ren. Say one more word and I'm leaving you with the bill. I giggled. Come on, Peony, he did offer to help us any time. Peony slumped lower in her seat. Her whole face flustered from not being able to get a single word in. I hate both of you. Once all our drinks arrived, the conversation shifted.
Did you guys catch the night flower exhibit? The one with the animated flower fields and projection?
I nodded. Yeah, that was by our amazing company, right? It looked amazing online. It had rave reviews too.
Exactly, that's the one. That's the kind of stuff I want to help people make.
I want to learn how to make people feel like they've been transported to another world. Peony poked at her food. It was fine, I guess. Overhyped though. Ren gave her a teasing look.
You're such a critic. Do you like anything?
Peony rolled her eyes and Ren continued.
I like to go thrifting. Customize my own clothes in my spare time too.
Ren said, stretching her slender frame back into a chair.
I get the biggest satisfaction whenever I manage to turn old things into something completely new.
I read a lot, mostly automate games and webtoons, escapism at its finest. I like being productive and successful. Sleep too.
Come on, Peony, you gotta have a normal hobby.
Peony huffed in annoyance. I like to work out and study, you know? Normal adult things. Ren gasped dramatically.
You don't rot your brain for fun?
Peony glared. No, and neither should you. This made Ren and I burst out in laughter. Even Peony, though she quickly covered her mouth like she regretted it. The tension from earlier instantly eased after that. No grand gestures required, only a bowl of fries. The chatter and harmless teasing made for a surprisingly comfy memory for the three of us. The tension in the air was gone. Even with our differences, it felt like the three of us were slowly syncing up. Our personalities clashing in just the right way to balance each other out. Without realizing, the time had slipped by so quickly that it was almost evening. The sky had dimmed, and the cafe had started to empty. The company group chat lit up with messages from other coworkers already at the bar. It was go time. We e-booked a bread ride, a short ride to the White Heron Bar. From the outside, the White Heron Bar looked pretty inconspicuous. One would easily overlook its plain signage and minimalist exterior, but the interior was a different story entirely. The bar was dimly lit. The warm toned backlights casted a fuzzy glow over the whole space, making for a very comfortable and intimate setting. The soft amber lights illuminated the overhead ceilings and were dim enough to set the mood. There was a low hum of music in the background too, which helped fill in the silence between conversations. The bar had a laid-back yet stylish feel to it. Cozy booths lined the brick walls, polished with wooden counters busy with bartenders tending to their patrons. A stealth shack with colourful liquor bottles that glimmered in the light, which made it tempting for anyone to order just one more drink. I nearly jumped out of my skin when a hand suddenly touched my shoulder. Boo! I spun around to be met with the smooth prince once more. Hello! You wanna bang a lang later? Anyways, there he was, grinning from ear to ear, clearly pleased with himself for catching me off guard. His usual playful energy was turned all the way up, and his dimples only made him all the more irresistible. Haha, caught you off guard. Everyone's over there, by the way. He nodded in the direction of a long table tucked near the back of the bar, where the rest of the Pixel Playground crew were already seated. I could hear the rowdy sounds from laughter and chatter from where I stood. Most of them already had drinks in hand. Spotting so many familiar faces from the introductions yesterday gathered in one place, I instantly felt more relaxed now. Kace led all three of us towards the long table to meet up with the rest of the group. The atmosphere at the table was electric. The employees sure looked like a lively bunch after working hours. A few were clinking glasses and celebratory toast. Groups of laughter bounced off the walls, and the murmur of pockets of conversations filled the air. As we settled in our seats, Mr. Riku stood up from his seat at the end of the table and tapped his drink with a spoon a few times, loud enough to break through the myriad of sounds. He then adjusted the sleeves of his dark blazer before lightly clearing his throat. The chatter slowly faded as everyone turned their attention to him. It looked like he was about to give a speech. He raised his glass silently and opened his mouth to speak, his tone composed and warm. Welcome colleagues, friends, newcomers, and everyone in between. Tonight we're gathered here to celebrate the successful execution of our Night Flower exhibition. A small round of applause erupted from everyone at the table. I could hear a few enthusiastic whistles mixed in here and there. This event was one of our most ambitious projects to date. It was a daunting feat at first, with the challenge of blending complex technology, vivid storytelling, and compelling visual art in ways that left a real impact on the public. But I'm proud to announce that the execution was flawless, and we received overwhelming response and amazing reviews from the public and critics alike. We couldn't have done it without each and every one of you. Please give yourselves and your team members a big round of applause. The crowd roared their approval with a hearty round of applause. Till the noise died down, Mr. Riku glanced around the table and gave a nod to a few of the senior team members. I'd also like to officially welcome new interns to our team. I hope your journey here at Pixel Playground Studios will be as smooth as it is rewarding. Don't worry, we only bite when we're chasing deadlines. He managed to elicit a few laughs with his light-hearted quip. This helped to loosen up the crowd even more. So, let's raise our glasses for a toast. Cheers to everyone's hard work, creativity, and all the madness that comes with it. Here's to the next successful project. Cheers! The joyous sounds of celebration filled the space once again. Later into the night, the lively energy at the long table began to naturally splinter into smaller clusters. Conversations branched off, creating little bubbles of chatter and laughter. A few gathered near the bar, talking over drinks with flushed cheeks and wide gestures. Others huddled at the far end of the table, deep in discussion. It was probably about work or exciting projects coming up. A few groups had drifted to the corner near the jukebox, picking songs and dancing just a little offbeat. At least they looked like they were having fun. Without even realizing, I noticed that Peony and Ren were nowhere to be seen. I had no idea at which point they had left my side. The drinks here were stronger than I thought. It made everything feel so fuzzy. With a glass of fruit cocktail in hand, I scanned the bar for familiar faces. I didn't want to drink alone tonight of all nights. I wanted company. Well, emphasis on the come in company. Who do I want to approach? Julian, because I like him. I made my way towards the bar, weaving through the clusters of conversations and mellow music in the background. There, perched alone on a stool, was a lonely Julian, who sat slightly hunched over, fingers absently tracing the condensation on his glass. His choice of poison tonight was a red-colored cocktail, based on how vibrant and sharp in color it looked. I guess he'd ordered either a Negroni or a Cherry Manhattan. For someone who preferred to be a fly on the wall, he sure likes the color red a lot. The drink looked untouched, the only sign of interaction being a light smear his fingertip left on the glass's rim. He was deep in conversation with the bartender, his voice low and serious, but I couldn't catch what he was saying. But it seemed like there was a weight to his words. The bartender, older and patient, merely nodded along quietly, offering the occasional murmured response. He looked detached from the celebration around him. He's so pretty. While the rest of the bar buzzed with laughter and light chatter, he remained in his own shadowed corner. It was like the party hadn't even noticed him, and maybe he preferred that it stayed that way. That quiet gravity pulled at me, emboldened by the alcohol flowing in my veins. I walked up to him and gave him a light tap on his shoulder to get his attention. "Hi, Julian. Mind if I join you?" He turned slowly in his chair as it pulled from somewhere far away. His expression was unreadable at first. Those intimidating red eyes looked clouded and distant. There was a brief pause before he answered, and when he did, his voice was soft but firm.
"Sorry, I'd rather be alone."
Awkward. I nodded, not daring to press him further. "Okay, I hope you enjoy the rest of your night."
"Thanks."
Without skipping a beat, I gave him a pursed smile before sheepishly walking away. I'll have to try again next time. Who do I want to approach? Let's go with Kace. We'll go down in order. I was on my way towards the bar where Kace was seated, only to notice he wasn't alone. Kace sat stiffly at the bar, wedged between two beautiful women who seemed far more interested in him than he was in them. His face was unreadable. There was zero trace of his usual dimpled charm. In its place was a neutral mask of polite discomfort. He seemed indifferent to the conversation that was taking place around him, his head nodding absent-mindedly at every question the girls threw at him. The woman on his right, draped in a form-fitting wine-red dress, leaned in close with a sultry gaze, her manicured fingers brushing his arm lightly as she whispered something in his ear. "Go away, he's not interested." Her glossy lips curled into a confident smirk, clearly used to getting what she wanted. On his left, the second woman had a sharper, edgier vibe. Her tan skin contrasted with her platinum blonde pixie cut, and she wore an off-shoulder knit sweater dress that revealed just enough to tease without trying too hard. She looked cool and self-assured, skipping from her drink while observing Kace with a slight glint in her eye. Even with all the attention, Kace looked far from thrilled. His posture was tight, hands wrapped too neatly around his untouched drink. His gaze darted to the side to scan the crowd, and that was when he saw me. A flicker of recognition crossing his face. Moments later, finally, his signature smile. Kace leaned back slightly, flashing the two women an apologetic glance, but his voice carried just enough edge to them to make it clear that he was done entertaining them.
"Sorry, ladies. My date just arrived."
He gestured towards me with a subtle nod.
"Over here."
Both women turned their attention to me in unison, their stares sharp and measuring. The woman in the red dress narrowed her eyes, clearly unimpressed. The pixie cut one gave a scoff, tossing her hair with a flick before standing back up. With a shared glare of mutual disdain, they grabbed their purses and sauntered off, heels clicking against the bar floor. "Geez, sorry. Kace, why would you put a target on my back like that?" Kace let out a quiet sigh of relief, patting the stool next to him.
"Thanks for the save, I owe you one."
That dimpled smile returned, warm and relaxed, like it only existed when I was around. I slid into the seat beside him, still feeling the sting of the women's glares as they walked away. Kace didn't pay them any mind. His eyes were already locked onto me, a slow smile tugging at the corner of his lips.
"What brings you here, Yinny? Couldn't resist coming to see me."
His tone was so flirty that I could hardly tell if he was being serious or just messing with me, but the way his eyes lingered said he meant every word. "I just want to drink and chill together. Maybe try to get to know you better?" Case's smile widened, dimples peeking through as he leaned in slightly, his voice dropping just a little.
"Oh? Can't say no to that."
He chuckled softly, smiling the drink in front of him, untouched since I arrived. "Okay, but that better be the only thing that's gonna remain untouched tonight."
"Fair warning though, Yinny. Say stuff like that and I might start getting ideas that you like having me around."
He said it with a cheeky grin, but there was a flicker of something more curious in his eyes. Like he was genuinely surprised. Amused was an understatement.
"So, what do you want to know?"
Hobbies. What do you like to do for fun?" Kace leaned back slightly, resting his arm on the bar counter as he hummed in thought.
"Fun, huh? Well, I like to go rock climbing on weekends, but to be honest, that's to build my self-discipline more than anything."
He gave a small shrug, then continued with a bit more enthusiasm.
"I'm into urban photography. I like to capture a few portraits too here and there, especially when I meet people with pretty faces or people who give off cool vibes. Trying to build a portfolio, you see. It's all about finding beauty in the chaos, baby."
Baby? I could tell that he was trying to play it cool, but there was no shadow of a doubt that under the suave exterior was a man who was truly passionate about his craft.
"I can show them to you next time if you want."
He glanced at me from the corner of his eye, a soft smile forming, with no trace of teasing. His expression felt more sincere this time. There was a quiet confidence behind his offer, like he wasn't just trying to impress me. It was as if he genuinely wanted to share a piece of himself with me. Yes, he can do that later by inserting his, wimwam.
"What about you? What are you into?"
You? I like making art. I draw in my free time."
"Oh? What do you like to draw?"
Naked dudes. Mostly fan art, especially when I'm really into a particular fandom. But I do have a collection of original pieces too."
"That's awesome. Can I see them sometime?"
I'm a little shy about showing them, but yeah, sure."
Oh, that was fun. Anything else you want to know about me?
What are your ambitions? What's something you always wanted to try but haven't yet? Kace pauses, thinking deeply. Speaking of deeply,
I'll be honest with you, I never really had a clear idea of my life goals up until now. If I had to answer your question, I'd do anything to be in a relationship with someone I really like.
me? Kace gave a sheepish smile.
It's kind of embarrassing, but I've never actually been in one before.
I widened my eyes. That was the last thing I expected to hear from him. With his handsome face and charming personality on the surface, it doesn't seem like he was the type to have trouble with the ladies, much less get into a relationship. His smile and those killer dimples would have any woman swooning into a puddle if he stared at them intensely for more than 3 seconds. And yet, here he was, admitting something so personal to me, as someone he just met not long ago. My heart skipped a beat, his eyes met mine, a gentle curiosity flickering behind his aquamarine pupils.
How about you? Have you been in one?
For a second, I wasn't sure how to answer. His tone wasn't teasing, it sounded as if he was genuinely curious to know. I've only been in one. I've only ever been in one, and it ended badly. He cheated on me. It kind of put me off relationships for a while.
Oh, I'm really sorry to hear that. Trash like that doesn't deserve to live.
Wait, what? Trash like that doesn't deserve to live, jeez.
I mean, you deserve someone who can treat you right. I'm sure you'll be able to find someone like that someday.
Kace, I have a bad feeling about you, but I'm still gonna go for you because this is a Yandere dating sim. I was caught off guard by his sudden remark. It felt so out of character from a guy like him. There was a subtle shift in Kace's gaze. Under his cheeky facade was the tone of something darker, menacing. It was as if the mere mention of my past stirred something personal in him.
Anyway, I think we should move on from the topic of relationships. Forbid one of us starts bawling our eyes out and uses alcohol as a coping mechanism, am I right? No, I wouldn't mind taking care of you if you get drunk.
He gave me a wink.
Anything else you want to know about me?
Taste in media. This might be a bit of a random question, but what's your go-to genre for movies or shows?
Oh, it's an easy one. I'm super into silly rom-coms. The cheesier the better. Bonus points if it's got misunderstandings.
I hate misunderstandings.
Dramatic airport scenes or someone running in the rain every damn time. If you ask me why I like them so much, I don't know what to tell you. There's just something really comforting about them that I like. Especially when the guy gets the girl they've had their eyes on since the beginning. I get butterflies watching those scenes. I guess it's just really sweet, you know? Because a part of me really wants that for myself someday.
Case's cheeks flushed out a faint pink, and he lets out a soft, nervous chuckle.
Oops. Look at me. Running my mouth again. What about you? What kind of genre do you like to watch?
Romance. I like romance shows too. Anything from enemies to lovers, love stories with slow burn, chef's kiss, but what I like the most is... I stopped myself mid-sentence. Did my mind seriously almost convince myself to admit that I like something so embarrassing as dark romance? To a hot coworker, no less. I think I'll keep that one to myself. Kace tilted his head in amusement.
Keeping secrets already. Way to amp my curiosity up to 100. It's fine. I won't press you for it.
You impress me for something else though.
You can keep your secret for now. So as for movies, anything else you want to know about me?
He rested his chin on his hand, watching me with that same curious, playful glint in his eyes as if daring me to probe deeper. I want him to probe me deeper. I have nothing else to ask. I have nothing else, but yeah, since we asked one of each already, and going back just kind of repeats the whole thing as if the previous choices never happened, I'm just gonna say I have nothing else to ask. I think that's all the questions I want to ask for now. Kace gave me a warm smile. The way he looked at me when he rested his chin in his hands was adorable.
No, those are some fun questions. I feel like I just went on a speed date minus the awkward silence, of course.
He let out a soft laugh, then took a sip of his drink.
Thanks for keeping me company, Edie. It was nice getting to know you like this.
Unbeknownst to me, the long conversation with Kace also meant that I'd stopped keeping track of the number of fruity cocktails I had. Uh-oh. I felt lightheaded, as every thought that swirled in my mind began turning a little too fuzzy around the edges. The warm buzz I felt earlier had suddenly warped into a dizzy spiral the moment I stood up. I excused myself politely and made my way to the entrance. The crisp, cool night air managed to take me out of my drunken state for a brief moment. I took a deep breath to steady the overwhelming dizziness that kept hitting me in waves. The drinks in this bar were no joke. The quiet out here was a welcome change from the noise and laughter inside. I just needed a few minutes for myself to clear my head, then everything would be fine again. Out of nowhere, a wave of nausea hit me like a truck. My vision swam for a second. Uh-oh. Relying solely on my instincts now, I made a beeline to the back of the bar and hoped that no one saw. Gravel crunched beneath my shoes as I searched for the nearest trash bin or bush. Anything. Dignity could wait. Right now, survival came first. I yanked open the nearest trash bin lid and bent over, heaving all the food and fruity cocktails I'd been sipping like juice the entire evening. I heard hurried footsteps approaching from behind.
Oh my god, Yiddy, are you okay?
His voice was laced with worry. and I barely had enough time to catch my breath before I felt a gentle hand on my back steadying me. He had a bottle of chilled water in his hand. In a swift motion, he cracked it open and gently brought it towards my lips, and his other hand steadying my shoulder.
Drink, Uni.
His voice was calm but soothing, the cool water a godsend, and helped to wash down the remaining stomach acid in my throat. I took a few small sips before pulling away with a grateful pant. Thanks.
Don't mention it, you scared me for a second.
There was a pause as he looked at me. His brows were furrowed with worry, but his taut grin said otherwise. The way he was looking at me made it feel like I was something fragile.
I think we should get you home. Can you stand and walk?
Ooh, I'm gonna do the spicy option. Let's do that. My head was still pounding, just like how he's gonna be pounding me later. All of my limbs felt unbearably heavy. 3 drinks was way too much for a night out. Maybe it wasn't the best idea to discover that tonight of all nights.
I think we should get you home. Can you stand and walk?
I tried. I really did, but as soon as I shifted my weight, my legs buckled. The world tilted sharply and I sank back down, dizzy and unsteady. Nope, that's not happening.
Okay, no need to force yourself.
His voice was calm, but I could hear the edge of concern beneath it. He crouched beside me, placing his warm, steadying hand on my shoulder.
Right, change of plans. Let's get you somewhere safe.
Without missing a beat, he began scanning the nearby buildings, eyes narrowing slightly as he weighed his options.
Hey, I know this might not be the most appropriate thing to ask right now, but I think I just spotted a motel around the corner.
What?
If you don't think you have the strength to make it home tonight, maybe you can just stay there for the night.
He glanced back at me, trying to sound casual, but the worry in his tone and brows made it clear he wasn't taking this lightly. I gave him a weak nod, not trusting my voice to come out coherent. Without another word, he crouched down in front of me.
Alright, up you go.
In a swift motion, he gently propped me onto my feet with one arm and hoisted me onto his back. Panic surged in me as I worried my weight would be a concern, yet he didn't seem to mind as he moved steadily, carrying me through the tranquil streets under the city lights. I still felt lightheaded. Everything in my vision blurred together like a Lovecraftian monster coming to life. The glow of the street lamps melted into one another like a threatening wasp. My thoughts seemed to float far above my head, while my body refused to obey a single command as I desperately instructed it to follow. I shut my eyes tight and buried my head in his cotton tee in an attempt to stifle the noise. It was only until I heard him speaking again, presumably to the motel receptionist, that my ears perked up. However, the alcohol had dimmed my senses so much that his voice sounded like a faint murmur that I couldn't quite grasp. After a moment, he turned his head back to whisper to me.
Oh, you're awake. I got you a room just now. Let's head upstairs and get you to bed, yeah?
Would you like to stay? Yippee, let's go. I let my head fall against his shoulder, lulled by his steady pace and the muffled hum of the silent hallway. Whatever else came next, yeah, me. I knew I was in good hands. Kace stopped in front of a room with the number 025, the keycard, then pressed the keycard against the door sensor. With a quiet click, the lock disengaged. Don't pretend that I didn't realize that 025 is just 520 backwards. He opened the door with one hand while the other shifted to keep me steady. The lights flickered on, casting a soft yellow glow over the small room. The lights hurt my eyes and I involuntarily buried myself into his tea again.
Shh, hang in there, just a few more steps.
He carried me in and gently lowered me onto the bed. The duvet felt soft against my skin, smelling faintly of chlorine and cheap detergent. My body immediately sank into it, and I was glad to finally be free from the shackles of social interaction all night. Just as sleep started to pull me under, something cold touched my face. It was a damp towel. Kace's hand moved gently, wiping away the sweat from my incident not long ago. It waked me just enough to mumble a complaint.
Do you want to clean yourself first?
Oh, yippee. I pouted like a sulking child. Kace let out a quiet laugh as the corner of his mouth pulled into a smile.
Alright. I hope you don't mind staying stinky for the rest of the night.
He moved to the desk, placing my bag down carefully and setting a duplicate keycard beside it.
I'm leaving your stuff on the spare keycard here. Don't forget to check out in the morning, okay?
He turned towards the door, but just as he tried to take a step forward, I reached out, fingers curling around his shirt sleeve. Where are you going? Are you leaving me here all alone? My voice came out slightly more vulnerable than I'd like. Kace froze for a second.
You want me to stay with you, Uni?
His voice held a quiet hesitation, but there was something else beneath it, something hopeful. Like he wasn't just asking for permission, but testing for the weight of what this moment meant. I met his gaze, barely able to keep my eyes open. My fingers still clung weakly to the hem of his sleeve. Please, I don't want to sleep here alone tonight. And that was all it took. He paused for a second, then let out a soft sigh as he turned around and walked back towards the bed. He kneeled down beside the bed, his movements careful, like he was afraid any sudden movements might break the moment. Slowly he reached for my hand. One touch was hesitant at first, but once our skin met, his grip firmed slightly. His hand was warm, mine cold in comparison. Wow. Kace brought my hand closer, holding it between both of his, as if trying to pass some of his warmth onto me. Then without breaking eye contact, he gently pressed a kiss to the back of my hand. Soft,
deliberate. If you don't already know, I don't want to go to sleep alone tonight either.
Wow. I'm so excited.
His voice barely rose above a whisper, but it cut through the stillness like a confession he'd been holding on to for too long. I felt my breath hitch, not from shock, but from his bold sincerity. His lips hovered against my skin, just a second longer, before he slowly began to trail kisses. From the back of my hand to my wrist, then further up along my forearm. Every touch sent sparks across my skin, warmth blooming with each passing second. By the time he reached my shoulder, my breathing had become ragged and I could no longer contain my excitement. He caught on immediately. He leaned in close, and I felt his lips brush against the curve of my cheek. So soft it barely felt real. Then he began whispering in my ear, soft and low. Now isn't the best time to reveal it yet. My feelings. I want to do this right. I want to pursue you the way you deserve. His breath grazed my ear. A shiver danced down my spine. So I hope you forget all of this by tomorrow.
Whoa, that's a bit...
He pulled back slowly, letting the silence stretch between us. Thick with things unsaid, and something else is also thick too. And for a second, I wish I couldn't forget. There's no turning back after this point, you know? Do you want this as much as I do?
Yes. Yeah. Let's do it.
I could feel his eyes bore into me. I was scared of what my voice would come out like, so I merely nodded in response. I won't continue if you're unable to give me your verbal consent. I'm not a monster, I promise.
Take me. I'm yours tonight.
With Dad's permission, he gently held my cheeks with both hands and leaned in for a kiss. The unfamiliar sounds of soft snoring shook me awake from my slumber. To my horror, I realized with a jolt that this was not where I was supposed to be. The realization sent a wave of confusion washing over me as I tried to piece together the events that had led me to this unfamiliar place. I started scolding myself. Who gets drunk on their first night out with their colleagues?
Hehe.
As I got up to head to the bathroom, I felt a pair of strong arms wrap around me and soft wisp of hair brushing against my skin. Shit, this is bad. The weight of my actions finally crashed down on me, and I was left grappling with the consequences of last night, wondering how I could have possibly faced the reality of what I had done. I can't believe I just freaking slept with a colleague I knew just 2 days ago. Panicking, I decided to wake him up or make a run for it. But let's wake him up. I turned to face the man sleeping soundly next to me, watching as his chest rose and fell with each peaceful breath. Seeing him so at ease, I almost didn't want to wake him up, but the need for answers was stronger. What the flying flipping hell happened? I need an explanation and I need it now. Taking a deep breath, I shook the sleeping man awake. Kace, wake up. 5 more minutes. Wake up right now. Kace slowly opened one eye and gave me a look of groggy confusion. Huh? Oh, good morning, Yinny.
Don't you dare good morning yinny me.
I stared at him, flabbergasted, unable to believe his nonchalant attitude. This man didn't seem to think there was anything wrong with what he had done. Calm down, Yinny, it was just a one-night stand. Most importantly, you consented to it, so you can't throw me in jail. I did remember that. But still, why do I have to be a horny, agreeable drunk? The regret was already settling in hard. Don't worry too much about it. Let's shower first and go grab a bite together. Not knowing what else to do, I retreated to the bathroom to let the hot water wash away the evidence of yesterday. The gaps in my memory were frustrating, leaving me with only fragments of recollection from the previous night. More importantly, I needed to ensure that not a soul in the office hears about this. The last thing I needed was for this to affect my reputation in the industry. I had to make sure Kace understood the gravity of keeping this between us, no matter what. After checking out of the motel, we decided to head to a nearby cafe for food. The whole time, I was perusing the menu. I felt a growing sense of urgency to speak my mind with Kace. I knew I needed to address the elephant in the room before things got any more complicated. We need to talk about last night. What about it? No one should know about what we did. What happened yesterday was a mistake.
Oh no!
Kace looked almost broken by my words. His expression fell slightly, mimicking that of a sad puppy. A mistake, huh? I felt bad for hurting him like that. Maybe mistake is a strong word, but what I meant was, it would have been better if we did it while we were both in our right minds. Also, I literally just got to know you 2 days ago, so I'm sure you both know that it would be bad for both our careers if word got out. Kace mulled my words for a moment before flashing me a soft smile. I understand. Don't worry about it, my lips are sealed.
Are they?
While waiting for our orders to arrive, I took out my phone from my bag. The battery was running low, but what shocked me was the mountain of notifications I'd accumulated since last night. All of them were from Ray. Crap! There were a bunch of missed calls, and as I scrolled through the messages, my heart sank. Yo, how's the party? Let me know when you're coming back. Everything okay over there, Yinny? Oi, reply me, or else. Hello? Where are you? It's already 4 AM. If you don't turn up, or at least call me back by 5, I'm reporting you as missing. Hello? Are you alive? Please call me when you see this. I hurriedly dialed Ray's number. She picked up on the first ring, her voice a mix of relief and anger. Oh my god! I'm glad you're still alive. You got a lot of explaining to do when you come back, young lady. I almost called the cops this morning, you know? Please don't joke around when it comes to your safety. Especially with all the missing people reports in town recently.
I feel bad that I've upset her. I swore I could hear a muffled sob coming from the other end, and it caused me a strong pang of guilt to think that my recklessness had caused her to worry so much. I'm so sorry, Ray. I got way too drunk yesterday and a colleague took me to a motel because I couldn't walk home by myself. Please forgive me. I can't even begin to tell you how sorry I am right now. I promise to make it up to you when I get back, okay?
Fine. Just stay safe out there.
The instant she hung up, I felt a sinking feeling in my stomach. Ray would definitely have more to say when I got back, and I braced myself for the lecture that was sure to follow. I let out a big sigh in frustration. Kace raised an eyebrow.
Who was that?
My housemate and best friend. She was worried sick about me. Kace chuckled, a soft smile playing on his lips.
It's sweet that you have someone worried about you back home.
Yeah.
That's a luxury you should appreciate, you know? Not all of us are that fortunate.
That particular smile didn't seem to reach his eyes. Yeah, I know. Our food soon arrived. We had both ordered burgers with a side of fries and a drink. I gulped down my water almost immediately to rehydrate from last night's events. There was an awkward tension that hung in the air as we both ate our meals in silence. I actively tried my best to avert his gaze and focus on my food instead. Oh, he's so cute though. Suddenly, Kace reached his hand out to wipe some of the stray sauce that had gotten onto the side of my lips. The unexpected intimate moment caught me off guard. He then licked the sauce off his thumb nonchalantly, as if it was the most natural thing in the world.
Sorry, I just couldn't help myself.
Kace's face turned a shade of red too, but he didn't seem to regret his action one bit as he widened his toothy grin.
Oh, look at you, face all red like a tomato, so cute. You know, you're such a cutie, right? I hope you're not mad at me anymore.
I only puffed and pouted, determined to not let him know he could charm me that easily. Seeing as he lightened up the mood a bit, I suppose it wouldn't be a bad time to initiate some small talk. About the duration of working, about trading jobs, about lunch meals. About the duration of working. So how long have you worked at Pixel Playground? Case's eyes glanced upwards, as though he was making a few calculations in his head.
About 2 months now. I got this job right after graduating with a marketing degree. I suppose I got lucky too, in a way. Riku took a gamble by hiring me, an inexperienced newcomer, but seemed thrilled when I exceeded his expectations.
So he was a fresh grad. That meant he was probably close to my age. How old are you again?
Just turned 24 this year.
I see. Seeing as he lightened up the mood a bit. Okay. About trading jobs. If you could trade jobs with someone in Pixel Playground for a day, who would it be? Kace let out an unexpected laugh as if amused by the question.
That's an easy one. I'd switch with Riku, no hesitation. Just imagine bossing everyone around and rejecting their work until I was satisfied. I'd love to be the one that calls all the shots of the day. That's a dream, man.
There was a mischievous glint in Case's eyes as he grinned. I giggled at his reply. That's such a Case answer. About lunch meals. Who do you usually hang out with during lunch?
It's usually just Noel and Kyle if they don't mind my company. Sometimes I hang around Alice and Beatrice too, though Beatrice tends to do most of the talking in the scenario.
He chuckled.
Oh, and I get the occasional invite from a few girls in the other companies in the building. They can be pretty persistent, although I've already turned them down a bunch of times.
Oh, I knew you were popular. But I didn't realize you were that popular to think that people outside the studio also wanted a piece of you.
Are you jealous?
He teased. I narrowed my eyes slightly. Jealous, please. You think too highly of yourself. I averted my eyes from his. I guess we can have lunch together too. Sometimes.
Great. We'll make perfect lunch buddies now.
His gaze lingered on me, obvious and deliberate. Well, time to continue. It didn't take long until both of us finished our brunch, and I figured it was time to part ways. I need to go now. I have a worried housemate to tame.
Good luck with that. See you next Monday?
Yep. Bye, Kace.
See you soon, Uni.
With that, we went our separate ways. The first thing I saw when I arrived was Ray sitting on the couch. One leg was bouncing anxiously, and her eyes were glued to her phone screen. The moment she heard the door open, her head snapped up. Relief washed over her face as she sprang to her feet with crossed arms and narrowed eyes.
Finally! Do you know how many times my fingers hovered over the speed dial for 911 yesterday night?
I said, oh sorry, can't you forgive little old me? I gave him my best puppy eyes, big, round, and extra pathetic. Judging by her softened expression, it was working.
Ah, fine. I'll let it slide this time.
I still can't believe you were dumb enough to get that drunk during your first company outing. With a colleague you barely know, no less. She crossed her arms with a dramatic sigh. So pray tell, what the hell actually happened last night? I let out a long sigh and started recounting everything. How we were chatting, the fruity cocktails that went down way too easily, how I got too dizzy to go home, and how Kace ended up taking me to the nearest motel so I could crash safely for the night. But I conveniently left out the part where I slept with Kace. That she didn't need to know. Not yet. Ray would absolutely give me hell for it, and probably never let me live it down. Ray narrowed her eyes at me as I finished my story, clearly trying to sniff out any missing details. And that's everything, huh? I nodded a little too quickly. Yep, totally, that's a full story. She didn't look entirely convinced, but after a long pause, she let it go. Alright. Just be more careful next time. You should be grateful that someone decent came to your aid. Most people wouldn't do the same if given the opportunity. With that, she flopped back on the couch in a dramatic fashion. You better remember to take a shower. You smell like regret and bad decisions. I know. I'll be more careful next time, I promise. I laughed and shuffled off to the bathroom, grateful she didn't press harder. But knowing this probably wasn't the last I'd hear of it. Today was officially the first actual day of my internship. Riku had gathered everyone in the company in a big hall first thing in the morning. Despite the pockets of excited and curious murmurs around the room, his expression remained stoic and unreadable as usual. The day prior, he had sent a text in the company group chat to explain that today's meeting was to brief us on an upcoming event, which was a major collaboration with a high-profile client. The room buzzed with quiet anticipation. Once he cleared his throat and then requested for everyone to settle down. It wasn't every day that Pixel Playground landed something this big. I was seated between Ren and Peony. Ren looked nonchalant as she casually scrolled through her phone. She looked disinterested in her surroundings, like the buzz in the room didn't concern her in the slightest. Peony, on the other hand, seemed a little tense with her stiff shoulders and incessant tappings of a pen against her left thigh. I reckon it was the pressure of working with a big client for the first time. She was probably afraid of missing out on any details during the meeting. I, on the other hand, was only curious as to who this mysterious client could be. With a click of the button on the remote in his hand, Riku dimmed the lights in the room and kickstarted the projector to life. The following words soon came up on the projector backdrop. Echoes of you, where story meets self. I'm glad everyone could make it here for the briefing today. This project is not going to be just another campaign. It's set to be an immersive art and tech experience, conceptualized to promote the Murasaki Group's collective subsidiaries and to celebrate their status as pioneers in innovation and entertainment in the creative space. Low murmurs rippled through the room. Peony leaned towards me and ran to whisper something. Well, looks like Big Daddy finally gave his forgotten son a big project to handle. What? Oh, tea! Ren snickered while I didn't know what to make of her comment. The event will combine cutting-edge technology, interactive installations, and narrative-driven design to create a multi-sensory journey for visitors. He flipped to the next slide, which had displayed sleek concept art of futuristic rooms bathed in shifting lights and projections. The experience will guide attendees through a curated path, each room representing one of the 4 core values of the Murasaki Group: progress, unity, imagination, and purpose. It's about more than branding. This project needs to evoke deep emotions and immerse visitors like never before, just like how Kace evoked deep emotions from me last night. I want you all to think about the projection-mapped environments, reactive soundscapes, AR-enhanced storytelling, and sculptural set design. You get the general idea. The room began buzzing with interest. Riku continued, this time more subtly. We'll also be working closely with several strategic partners on this, which includes a creative direction team associated with Pink Iris. It's a boutique agency known for their unique artistic philosophy, religious events, and charity. Well, working with a cult, huh? That's really gonna ramp up in the next update, isn't it? Peony furrowed her brow slightly and stopped frantically writing in her notebook at the mention, while Ren's eyes narrowed ever so briefly. For us, we're expected to prepare for the big launch, visual assets, on-site experience, logistics. This includes art direction, marketing coordination, tech support, and brand storytelling. Sounds daunting, I know, and I can tell you all that it absolutely is. I'll say this first, this is the kind of project that makes or breaks a studio. He paused and looked over at the team for a second. This will be a big test of our creativity and teamwork. We have 2 months to prepare. I'll be assigning roles individually after this briefing. I expect everyone to be at their best. The lights suddenly came back on. Riku then moved to the next slide before looking around the room. Now's the time to reveal everyone's roles. I'll assign additional support to each team based on the existing departmental roles. Marketing and client communications, Kace and Beatrice will lead on this front. This includes all brand-facing materials and PR coordination with the Murasaki Group's associates. Kace flashed a wicked grin at Riku. Looks like we're in for the fun part. We'll make sure the visuals and messaging stay consistent. Beatrice added calmly. The creative tech and immersion, Noel will lead the efforts with this. He's so pretty. I'm gonna move myself. I think Noel is gorgeous and might actually be my favorite. He's so cute. For once, it's not the dark-haired man. I mean, I like Julian, but there's something about Noel that's just so sweet looking. Ren will be assisting you for this, specifically with coming up with interactive multimedia concepts and whatever else you might need. Noel, I need you to liaise with the projection mapping artists we previously collaborated with, or source new talent if needed for the interactive art installations. Noel gave a calm smile. I've got some ideas already. Hope you're ready for them, Ren. Ren gave him a playful salute. As long as we don't blow any circuits, I'm on board with anything you say, boss number 2. Operations and venue logistics, Carl and Kareem will be assigned here. You guys will be in charge of liaising with vendors, transporting equipment, and setting up program schedules. All contingency planning. Kareem,
I'll also need you to work with marketing team to recruit a few local artists or a few specific art pieces, and volunteers too to help with the setup.
Kyle gave a solid nod in reply.
Copy that.
Kareem, already taking notes, chimed in with his confirmation.
I'll give you the list of potential vendors by this evening. Exhibition layout and installation. Julian will be overseeing this with Peony assisting him.
He's so pretty. Look at him. He's so pretty.
You two will be working together on spatial planning, installation floor plan layouts, and how our visitors can flow through the space.
Julian merely nodded in silence as a response. However, his notebook was already half filled with complex-looking diagrams. Peony gave Riku one of her trademark overly polite tight-lipped smile, the kind that didn't quite reach her eyes. Alright, you can count on us to make this event look impressive.
And Dallas, as always, you'll assist me directly with executive matters.
What about me?
Supervising the team, scheduling appointments, and approving proposals, budget tracking, etc, etc.
Alice, who was seated beside Riku, merely nodded in reply. She had already started busying herself by checking through the proposal draft. Finally, Riku's gaze landed on me. Am I fired?
Giddy, your assignment is open-ended. I'm giving you the freedom to choose a group that best aligns with your abilities. Please consider your strengths and join a group where you feel like you can contribute with the most towards. Our timeline is tight, so I'll need everyone to pull their weight. Choose wisely.
Choose your route, Kace, Noel, Kyle, Riku, or Julian. I think like when the full game comes out, because I believe this is where the demo ends, I'm gonna go with Kace first. Like I'll do everyone's routes. Probably Kace or Julian first. But if we're gonna go with real world experience, given that prior to me working as a content creator, I had 8 years of like marketing experience, I will just pick Kace this time. To be continued. I really hope you liked this version of the demo. It was great. Thank you so much for supporting me. I hope you had fun playing this extended demo as much as I had fun creating it. I love the extra lore and everything. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. Now that we finished off a playthrough, we're gonna go back and finish up all of Kace's endings, and then we'll move on to everyone else. So we're gonna cover everybody's endings, and then we'll go hunt for any extra scenes that we hadn't gotten yet. So let's do that.
I think we should get you home. Can you stand the walk?
Yes. His voice was gentle but laced with concern. He crouched to match my eye level, his hand hovering just above my back, ready to steady me if I fell. I gave him a small nod and tried to push myself up, but my jelly knees refused to cooperate. Give me a sec. Without missing a beat, Kace offered his arm.
Just lean on me, okay? There's no shame in it.
The warmth of his support, both physical and emotional, made my spinning head feel slightly more bearable.
Everything's gonna be okay. I'll bring you home now.
He didn't ask again if I could walk. He propped my arm over his shoulder and kept me steady as he walked me back towards the main entrance. The cool night air might have helped sober me up a little, but the world was still morphing around me with every step. Kace stayed close, never letting me stumble for a second. The ride he called showed up fast. The entire car ride felt like a blur until he carried me all the way up to my apartment door. I fumbled for my keys, but Kace took them gently from my hand.
Don't worry, I got it.
He unlocked the front door with ease and helped me into my apartment. However, instead of placing me on the couch in the living room, he led me straight to my bedroom with surprising familiarity. Surprising familiarity? Why? He turned on my bedside lamp, pulled the duvet back, and helped me lie down gently with a hand cradling my head. It didn't take long for him to fill up a glass of water before placing it on my nightstand. He had even taken the trouble just to shift my trash bin to my bedside, just in case any spillage occurs again, anytime during the night.
You're home now. Try to get some sleep, alright?
His voice was soft yet careful. Before leaving, he tucked the blanket over me and scribbled something on a sticky note by the bed. Text me when you wake up. Kace. The front door locked behind him with a quiet click, with his footsteps fading into the background. It had just struck me that this sweet man had just brought me, a drunken lady, back home, tucked her in bed like a gentleman, and didn't even make a move when she was at her most vulnerable. A cozy, warm feeling rose in my heart. It was incredible how he made me feel so safe around him. As I stared at the ceiling, hazy thoughts swelling in my mind, one thought suddenly stood out clear as day. How do you know that this was my apartment unit? Yeah, how did he? I just realized this as well. What the hell? Now I'm slightly worried. Alright, we've seen this ending, so let's go back and do the other option where we tell him that we can just walk home by ourselves. It's fine. I can make it home by myself.
Are you sure?
I'm sure. Thank you for tonight. I had a great time. Good night, Kace.
Alright.
He hesitated for a while before slowly backing away, his smile faltering just a little.
Good night, Innie. Get home safe, okay?
I groggily made my way through the dark but familiar alleyway, fighting the haze of fruity cocktails that clung to my thoughts. As much as the crisp air helped clear the fog, my body was still heavy and swayed with my steps. The night was still and heavy with silence, save for the occasional hum of a car passing in the distance. Streetlights cast long shadows along the curb, flickering just enough to make everything feel a little more unnerving. I feel like something is gonna go terribly wrong. Oh, great! Suddenly, I heard a faint noise echoing from an alley up ahead. It was the sounds of ragged breathing.
as if someone was in pain. I froze for a moment, my tipsy brain trying to pick up with what my ears were picking up. Without warning, a figure emerged from the shadows and began limping unsteadily towards me. Their movements were jerky and off balance, each step accompanied by a quiet grunt of pain. The dim streetlights barely illuminated them, but I could make out the outline of torn clothes and what looked like dark smears along their sleeves and legs. My breath caught in my throat. My intoxicated mind wavered between fear and concern. Was there someone hurt, or was it something worse? I braced myself for what was to come. Hello? Are you okay? My voice trembled, barely louder than a whisper. I didn't know if I should stay or run away. The alcohol in my system was making it hard to think straight. Every instinct screamed something different. Help them. Run. Freeze. The figure kept limping closer, but my body refused to move. I could hear their labored breathing, each inhale like something terrible was hurting it. Oh, please. Their voice was hoarse. It sounded like the person had been screaming for too long or had something caught in their throat. I took an unsteady step back, clutching the strap on my bag so tightly as it was my only weapon of defense at this moment. What should I do? The figure finally seemed to notice my presence and began limping faster in my direction. Each uneven step scraped loudly against the pavement, echoing in the quiet alleyway like an alarm bell. I froze, panic rooting me in place. Now that he was gaining on me, I could finally make out his face under the flickering lights. It was a young man. He looked young. Way too young to be wandering the streets at this hour unsupervised. His skin was pale, almost sickly. His messy dark green hair hung in greasy strands across his forehead, like he hadn't seen a shower in days. He was wearing a filthy grey-coloured hoodie and a pair of jeans underneath. Both of the fabrics were stained with dirt and something darker near the hemlines. His cheeks were sunken in and gaunt, insinuating that he hadn't eaten in days. This made his wide, manic pink pupils appear even more haunting. The way he was limping up to me made him feel like he was actually running away from something chasing him from behind. In his panicked haste, he tried desperately to keep his torn hoodie from falling off his shoulders, but that was when I saw it. A thick, jagged scar ran across the base of his neck and shoulder, with dried blood pooling at the wound. It looked like it had healed halfway before the skin at the edges was torn apart again recently. Those weren't ordinary scars created by something as innocent as a fall. If horror movies had taught me anything, it was that those marks came from sheer violence. His lips trembled as he took another staggering step towards me. Please, they're still looking for me. He was looking around, his pink eyes darting wildly down both ends of the street, as if expecting someone or something to burst out of the shadows at any second. His chest heaved with every shallow panic breath, and his whole body trembled from genuine terror. Please, he rasped, stepping closer. You need to help me, or he's gonna kill me. His voice cracked on the last word. There was no mistaking the desperation in his tone. He looked like I was his only option left in order to survive the hell he was currently going through. I took a step back, my heart hammering. My mind was still sluggish, but trying hard to catch up to everything that was happening in front of my eyes right now. Who was he? Was this some drunk hallucination? Or was I about to get pulled into something dangerous? The next second, the kid grabbed my wrist like it was the last thread keeping him tethered to life. However, his grip was weak, clammy, and trembling. Please, save me. Don't move. It's gonna be okay. Let me call the police. I immediately rummaged in my bags, fingers fumbling past receipts and keys as I searched for my phone. Wait, don't do that. His voice was strained, barely above a whisper, his eyes narrowed with sudden fear. If you do, he'll— Oh no! Wait, I hope a heebie-jeebie doesn't pop out and scare me. His entire body tensed before he doubled over on the pavement, one arm clutching his stomach, the other covering his mouth as a muffled groan escaped him. It hurts so bad. His voice trembled. You can't call the police. They're useless. Then how can I save you? He leaned his slim frame against a nearby wall, desperation etched onto his face. I just need a place to hide from him. My mind raced with all the sorts of solutions to help the poor guy. If the police were of no use, then what else? Get this guy treated first. Maybe I should call him an ambulance. When I turned my head back to him, I noticed his head had slumped down to his torso. He was looking at his hands, which were currently stained with blood, and forming a small pool of blood underneath his sneakers. It seemed like his movements had opened, fresh wounds all over. But he was now losing blood fast, his breath hitched. No. I hadn't even realized how much he was bleeding until now. His mouth was leaking blood too. Wait, please calm down. I can call an ambulance. We'll get you somewhere safe. It's gonna be alright. He found me. Before I could finish my sentence, something flickered in my vision. Wow. Well, somebody got beamed up to the spaceship? His body jerked and started glitching like a corrupted video feed. A flicker of static, a distortion in the air. And then nothing. He was gone. No trace, no sound, no blood, no dark stains on the ground. Nothing. Just an empty street and the distant hum of traffic. I blinked hard. Once.
Twice. I stepped forward, but there was nothing to step towards. Only shadows remain, flickering beneath the faint glow of the street lamp. Did I just imagine the whole thing? My heart raced, my fingers tightening around my phone, but it couldn't be. I remember his manic pink pupils, his massive scar, his torn and bloody hoodie, the way he begged me to save his life. Did I really see him? Or was it just the alcohol talking? A breeze blew by, brushing gently against my cheek like a gentle nudge. There was no sign that anyone had ever been here at this hour but me. My mind was really good at playing tricks on me late at night. Or maybe he was never a real person to begin with. Passing through the alleyway, I wrapped my arms around myself. The air had grown colder than I was used to. Every step I make echoed in the narrow passage, making me feel really uneasy. I'm scared. My pace quickened from unease still crumpling in the pit of my stomach. Whatever that was back there, real or not, I prayed that it didn't come back again. I couldn't afford another jump scare in my mental state. Is that foreboding? Please don't. I'm weak. A few moments later, my apartment building finally came into view. There was a familiar beacon at the end of the quiet street. Oh, thank God. The warmth and safety of my home hit me immediately. It was finally safe, or at least that's what I kept telling myself. After showering away the leftover traces of the night, I sleepily trudged to my bed. The moment my head touched the pillow, the strange kid's face appeared in my mind again. I tried to recall all of the features I could remember. The scar, those frantic pink eyes, the details that seemed to slip through my fingers like sand. The more I tried to remember, the more it felt like a fever dream, or just a drunken hallucination. Maybe it really was just my imagination. I was probably just overthinking things. That's all. I closed my eyes and took a deep breath. Oh, fuck. Damn it! God damn it, this scared the crap out of me. It wasn't real. None of it happened. And with that in mind, I let the silence of the night carry me into a restless slumber. Oh, it scared the shit out of me. Alright, let's get all the other scenes that we haven't seen yet. Also, if you guys are ever confused as to which chapter we are on, timestamps are in the description box below, and I'll always put a little pop-up title here when we reach a new segment. Alright, this time I'm gonna pick Snooze the Alarm, because last time we did Turn Off the Alarm, which made us late. A blaring alarm drilled into my eardrums like an angry jackhammer, yanking me from the warm grip of sleep. Groaning, I cracked open one eye and fumbled blindly for my phone in the dark, smacking around until I finally hit the snooze button. Just 10 more minutes. That's all I need. Just 10. In what felt like a blip in time, the alarm screamed again, this time accompanied by a sharp knock on my bedroom door. Yandere, you better be up. You do know it's your first day, right? Ray's voice cut through like a whip. Don't make me drag your lazy ass out of bed. Ah yes, Ray was in tiger mum mode again. She can be harsh at times, but she usually means well. With a dramatic sigh, I bid farewell to my beloved bed and limped into the bathroom like a zombie. Staring into the mirror, I take a good look at myself. Yikes. Oh, is it really that bad? Last night's late night gaming session definitely left its mark. Okay, you know what, fair. I let out a quick groan, splashed some cold water onto my face and jumped into a quick icy shower to shock myself fully awake. Oh, she's so pretty. There's like new sprites and everything too. It's so cool seeing how Rianshi's art has improved. Because I adored the art of the original demo. But like now I can see how intentional the color usage is and how much they've worked on their craft. It's so cute. Once squeaky clean and dressed, in something sensible for an expectant intern's first day at work, I stepped out of my room and entered the adjacent kitchenette. Ray was already leaning against the counter, glowing with a smug energy and sipping on a cup of freshly brewed coffee. Well, well, look who's up early. It's Miss Bright Eyes. She teased, a smirk tugging at her lips. Hardy ha ha. I grumbled, pouring myself a cup of coffee while inserting 2 slices of bread into the toaster. You know I already regret joining that raid last night. Why didn't you stop me? I did tell you to go to bed early, Ray says, raising an eyebrow. You didn't listen. I groaned again. Please don't say it. She leaned in, eyes gleaming with a tinge of viciousness. Is she gonna say I told you so? I told you so. I knew it. Ugh, blunt and direct as always, but I can't say I didn't deserve that. This woman, my best friend and housemate, is a menace, but I love her for it. We met back in the university and clicked instantly the moment we started talking, thanks to our shared interests and matching chaotic energy. After graduating, we decided to move into a small cozy apartment together here in the city. Ray has been doing pretty well for herself as a streamer. She's built a name for herself with both her cozy gameplay streams and viral art she posts online. While the toaster did its thing, I pulled out my phone and started scrolling through my morning news. A spike in local missing persons reports leaves community on edge. Murasaki Group CEO donates over 50 million to the Pink Iris Church. Faith is a lighter society. That sounds like a cult. Pixel Playground Studios' immersive art event captivates the youth market. That's cool. Hey, did you see this? I asked with eyebrows raised. Another person's gone missing in the city. That's like, what, the 5th case this month? Wonder if the police are even connecting the dots yet. You have to be careful out there, you hear? Also, the president of the Murasaki Group just made like a huge donation to the Pink Iris Church. Like, 7 figures. Of course he did. Ray scoffs. Rich people and cults. Name a more predictable combo. And, oh, Pixel Playground Studios' immersive art event is apparently a massive hit. Everyone's raving about it. Ray packed up. Yeah? I saw a few highlights from the event on my feed too. It looks sick as hell. I know, right? I can't believe today's my first day working at my dream studio. Ding! Toast is done, just in time for breakfast. I grabbed the hot slices and slathered them with kaya and butter. Oh my god, a god tier combo. Kaya and butter is so good. Creating my very own roti bakar. Oh my god, can I have soft boiled eggs to dip them into that's been seasoned with soy sauce and pepper? The sweetness of the kaya blended perfectly with the creamy butter. Simple yet beloved by so many, it was the best kind of breakfast food anyone could wish for. In no time, I finished my toast and after taking the last sip of coffee, I headed to the front door to slip on my shoes. Have a great first day, Uni. Ray calls out cheerfully from the kitchen. Thanks, bestie. I replied with a small wave. My heart fluttered a little from all the nerves and excitement. Clutching my bag nervously, I stood in front of the doors of the apartment's elevator while waiting for the lift to arrive. Just as I stepped inside, I heard a voice call out from the hallway. Hey, wait, hold the elevator. Mashing the open button, I held the door open for an anxious stranger. A few seconds later, a man with blinding white hair almost crashed into me in his haste. He was clearly out of breath, with one hand gripping the elevator door and panting non-stop. Oh, he's so cute! I love his neat design! Thanks, he panted. No problem, I said casually, sneaking a glance at him. Wait, how have I never seen this guy before? How was I only just finding out that I was living on the floor as the same floor as such a good-looking neighbor? Ray was definitely hearing about this later. He had that hot boy next door charm going on, with his hair stylish, bright and bleached white hair, and piercings in his ears in all the right places, and a sleek pair of brow piercings to tie the look together. The man pulled off the e-boy vibe so effortlessly it almost made me jealous. And that lady killer smile? It was getting me way too hot and bothered, and it's not even 9 AM yet. So, where you headed? His sudden question caught me off guard. With that outfit on, you definitely look like you're on a serious mission. Oh, it's my first day at work, I replied, fidgeting with my bag anxiously. I mean, it's the first day of my internship. Welcome to the working world. I'm currently working too. It'd be super crazy coincidence if we end up working in Pixel Playground Studios together. My eyes widened immediately. Wait, no way. His eyes lit up. Wait, don't tell me you're interning at Pixel Playground. I blinked in surprise. Huh? Yeah, how'd you know? He laughed before tossing me a playful grin. Because I'll have you know you're currently looking at one of your seniors. No way. He's my hot neighbor and hot coworker at the same time. I think I just maxed out my luck for the entire year. You wanna head there together? You wanna do more than that together? We can get together on my ride. I'll ride you. I doubt Riku would be thrilled if he found out that one of his interns showed up late on their first day. Sure, let's follow the hot stranger because apparently I have no sense of self-preservation. Sure, yeah. Let's go together. Upon arriving at the basement, we casually made our way to the parking area. I glanced around and tried to guess his mode of transport. What kind of ride would such a dashing man use? A well-worn yet powerful motorcycle? An expensive sports car? Just as I wrapped up that thought, he stopped in front of a bright blue Vespa. A cute, rounded baby blue Vespa. I wasn't expecting this in the slightest. It's so cute. The difference between his edgy looks and his adorable bike hit me like a truck. Car pun. This is the best example of gap moe if anyone was asking. Just tell me one thing, I said, trying to stifle a giggle. Do you live here, Mr... He looked a bit flustered. It's Kace, and no, I don't actually. It's a bit embarrassing really, but I crashed at a friend's place last night because I was too hammered to ride back. Were you being a whore last night? He rubbed the back of his neck awkwardly. His cheeks turned a few shades redder, presumably from recalling the embarrassing events of last night. Do you know who Vincent Lim is? Vincent Lim? Ah yes, he was my neighbor staying at my unit 318 on the right-hand side of my apartment. He rears a ridiculously adorable Persian cat which he accidentally let out once. I remember Ray and I spent a whole morning hunting the rascal down to return to its rightful owner, and he ended up treating us to dinner as a gesture of thanks afterwards. If Kace was a friend of Vincent's, I figured he was trustworthy enough, right? So the both of your friends, that's nice. Kace handed me a helmet.
Safety first.
I took it with a small nod. I'll take more than that with just a small nod. A few moments later, we were zipping through the city streets on our way to Pixel Playground Studios. We pulled into the long underground parking not long after. I climbed out of the Vespa and busied myself with hiding my face and my hair as Kace went to park the scooter. It wasn't long after we made our way to the front entrance of the building. As the doors of the lift slowly closed, Kace turned to face me.
Hey, Intern. How rude of me, I just realized I hadn't gotten your name yet.
Call me Yinny.
Yinny.
He repeated it slowly, as if savouring the sound of it. I'll savor something else of his. Anyway, Yinny, shut the fuck up.
Well, isn't that a pretty name?
He whistled.
My cheeks flushed at the compliment. I immediately looked away, hoping that he hadn't noticed.
The elevator chimed when we arrived at the office lobby, where the reception came into view. I was told to wait at the lobby first, I said while exiting the elevator.
Alright, see you soon.
He smiled, all dimples and irresistible charm in my face. God, he made it impossible to forget his presence. I could feel the heat still lingering on my face. That smile, that voice. Kace might actually be the death of me. I made my way to the reception desk just past the lobby and introduced myself. Good morning, I'm one of the new interns. Today's my first day, may I know where the training will take place? The receptionist gave me a polite smile and pointed towards a nearby hallway. You'll find the meeting room in one of the doors flanking that corridor. It's just the second door on the left. I've been told another intern will be joining you, and they should be arriving soon. I gave him my thanks and nervously sauntered in that direction. Okay, so we've done snooze the alarm and turn off the alarm. Snooze the alarm gets us to go see Kace. Turn off the alarm makes us encounter 520. So we'll do get up this time. Because in the original demo when we did the alternate option, we actually got to meet Julian and Kyle earlier than meeting them at work. Fine. I guess it's time. There's no other choice. That's how adulthood is, right? Responsibilities and regrets bundled with a cup of morning coffee. I dragged myself upright with a sigh so deep, it probably bounced off all the walls in my apartment. Today marks the start of my internship. It doesn't pay much. Barely enough to cover my weekly grocery expenses, actually. But it was better than nothing. At least I finally have a foot in the door. A stepping stone. A new beginning. Beginnings are supposed to be extra exciting, right? So why does my stomach feel like it's trying to audition for the local circus? Because I'm a clown? I shuffled to the bathroom while blinking away the haze of sleep. Standing in front of the mirror, I leaned against the sink with both hands to hold my tired frame up. My reflection looked as anxious as I felt. I had puffy eyes, messy bed hair, and the whole deal. I splashed cold water on my face in an attempt to wipe the sleep from my eyes, willing myself awake. I tried desperately to believe the words I kept repeating under my breath. You're gonna do great today. It's gonna be a good day. Albeit a half-hearted pep talk, it's all I got right now. I picked out an outfit that looked respectable for an office setting. Nothing too stiff, yet not too casual either. Something that screamed, I'm serious about the job, but please don't yell at me, I might cry. After straightening my outfit for the ninth time in a row, with clammy hands, I took a deep breath before stepping out of my room. The apartment was quiet. I turned to face the living room and kitchen. There were no signs of Ray anywhere. I wasn't surprised. She must have been streaming late into the night again. I felt oddly disappointed as I was hoping to at least catch her before I left. Immediately after, my wandering eyes caught something stuck to the front door. It was a sticky note. You can do it. Ray. Aww. I paused. My heart softened instantly. Even if it was just a few simple words, it somehow made everything feel a little easier. It felt good to know that someone was rooting for me, even though I constantly felt like curling up into a ball and hiding away from the world forever. A smile formed on my lips. Thanks, Ray. I whispered to the empty apartment. You're the best. My nerves are still tangled up in knots, but at least they don't feel so overwhelming anymore. Looking at the time on the phone, I realized I had a bit of time left before I was due at the office. My stomach grumbled. Where should I head out for breakfast? My stomach was craving something comforting, something that won't upset my already jittery insides. Cozy cafe or local bakery? Let's do the bakery first, and then we'll do the cozy cafe afterwards. Exiting the apartment building, I began making my way down the familiar streets of my neighborhood. The morning air was cool against my skin, and I could feel the soft hum of the early city as the radiant rays of sun peeked through the horizon. A short walk later, I arrived at my favorite quaint-looking corner store, Auntie Lim's Confectionery and Bakery. A cacophony of delicious smells hit me right in my hungry face the moment I pushed open the glass door leading inside. These look so good. Are those egg tart? The warm interior was perfumed with the heavenly aroma of fresh bread, melting butter and frosting all freshly baked and ready to serve right from the oven. It felt like I had been transported back to my childhood. It reminded me of better days. My empty stomach growled in anticipation. Scanning the space, I felt out of place, as if I was a visitor in another era. The walls were lined with wooden shelves holding jars of cookies and traditional snacks in crinkly plastic wrappers. Hand-painted signs hanging from the walls marked the specials of the day. There was a faint hum of a radio playing old-timey love ballads from behind the counter, which Auntie Lim herself was humming along to while kneading a big bowl of dough. Like an excited puppy, I grabbed a tray and a pair of metal tongs near the entrance and began strolling down the aisle in search of mouth-watering baked treats. Temptation overload was the only word I could use to describe this display case. There were tantalizing rows of golden croissants with the perfect amount of flakiness, buttery kaya buns with delightfully cracked tops, fluffy chicken floss rolls. Oh my god, I want to go to an Asian bakery so bad. Curry puffs looking like they're on the verge of bursting, and sweet pastries with a glaze so shiny that they practically glowed under the heat lamps. 2 items in particular caught my eye. The egg sando or the strawberry Danish. I'm always an egg sando person. That's like me when I lived in Japan, all I got was egg sando. I'll have a breakfast egg sandwich and Americano, please. Oh my god, that looks so good. A hearty breakfast egg sandwich, loaded with fluffy eggs and melty cheese, in between 2 slices of soft Japanese milk bread, paired with a steaming cup of Americano that promised a bold kick to start the day. That looks incredible. My mouth watered just by looking at it. While shifting to the right to get a better look at the rows of bread in front of me, I suddenly bumped into something hard. Well, hard. Anyways, my breathing hitched. A surprised gasp escaping my lips as I realized that I just received a face full of someone's strong biceps. Whoa! Yay! Oh, he's so cute!
Whoa, that was a close one.
The man said, skillfully steadying a tray stacked to the brim with bread and pastries. My brain stopped working.
Almost dropped these. Good thing they're alright.
Panic suddenly rushed in. I'm so sorry. I totally didn't mean to do that. I blurted, flustered to the hills and silently screaming to myself for being so clumsy. He chuckled, then casually waved it off.
No worries, dude. It's all cool.
I finally risked a glance upward, and that's when I truly saw him. A towering presence. Broad shoulders stretching the fabric of his shirt and a mane of ginger hair that practically glowed under the warm lights. He looked like the type of man who could effortlessly hoist a sack of flour with one hand, and not even break a sweat while doing it. The man standing in front of me was tall too, like giant tall. I had to strain my neck at a 120-degree angle just to meet his gaze. His buzz-cut hair was the color of a burnt orange sunset. His mesmerizing emerald green pupils hinted that he was up to some mischief. The man was jacked too. Plus a broad shoulders, a solid chest and arms that looked like they could bench press a small car. His compression shirt showed off every muscle he had worked hard to train. It seemed pretty obvious that he was a massive gym rat, and the cherry on top, he was handsome too, distractingly so. Yet something kept nagging in the back of my mind, something oddly familiar. It was perhaps as if I'd seen him before. Maybe I was in a dream or in a distant memory I couldn't quite place my finger on at the moment. Maybe because you guys used to be very close friends in the previous game? He arched a brow at my long silence, a touch of concern in his expression.
You right there, bud?
He asked, his voice surprisingly soft for someone built like a brick wall. I blinked, his deep voice managed to shake me out of whatever trance I just unknowingly slipped into. Yeah, I'm fine. Sorry for causing trouble. Please, excuse me. I muttered, face fully flushed. If only he knew what was playing in my head. I hurriedly scurried off to the counter to pay for my meal. That could have been a great story to tell my future grandkids, but of course, I had to make it weird with my awkwardness. Alright, now we're at the office. So, because we actually met Kyle previously, I wonder if the scene when we meet him here has any difference to it. I will check. The guy's smoking at the balcony. Out on the balcony on the other side of the glass, I spot a familiar face in the place I least expected. It was a tall, muscular guy I awkwardly bumped into at the bakery this morning. He was leaning against the railing, coolly burning through a cigarette. It was way too soon to come face to face with him once more. A wave of embarrassment hit me almost instantly. Of all the people to run into again, why did the universe decide to make it him? Well, I guess that's about it. Yeah, there wasn't much difference there. So, because we did Kyle's intro, I think we're gonna move on to Kyle's endings. And Kyle does have a spicy scene, so I'm excited. Alright, let's speak to Kyle. I made my way over to where Kyle was seated. He was surrounded by a small group of coworkers. Oh, he's so cute! Fits of explosive laughter erupted from their corner of the bar. From time to time, Kyle in particular was the loudest among them. Even from a distance, I could tell that he looked different from earlier today. His shoulders were more relaxed. His usual intimidating presence was now replaced by a warmer and more easygoing attitude. He had a large frothy mug of beer in one hand, nearly full despite how many drinks he seemed to have had. His cheeks were tinged pink. Given how animated his gestures were, it was clear he was enjoying himself, either from riding the high from the successful exhibition or the alcohol. I approached him, hoping he'd still remember me from our earlier encounter. When he spotted me, his already enormous grin stretched even wider.
Oi, look who it is, if it isn't our little intern.
He raised his mug in greeting, foam nearly spilling over the rim.
Come, sit with us. You better be downing those drinks tonight because we're celebrating.
He shifted in his seat to make room for me, clearly elated to see another member join his party. It felt like the perfect time to loosen up a little and enjoy the night. He noticed the colourful, half-empty fruity cocktail in my hand, a hint of amusement flashing in my eyes.
Is that good?
I looked at the drink, then back at him. Yeah, it's dangerously sweet enough to forget it's an alcohol. He chuckled, raising his beer mug slightly in a mock toast.
Careful, it's how they get you.
I'll pace myself, don't worry. No, I won't. Carl shifted in his seat, angling his body towards me. Even while seated, he still felt tall, broad-shouldered and solid. I'm sure something else of his is solid too.
You sure? I'll keep an eye out just in case.
He took another sip of his beer, but the way his gaze lingered on me made the moment feel warmer than the alcohol ever could.
So, what do I owe the pleasure of your company, young lady?
I almost spat out my drink, not expecting such formality to come out of his mouth. I'll show something else that will go into his mouth.
What? Is there something on my face?
No, it's just that with how casual you were with us yesterday, it feels so out of place hearing you talk so formally like that. You sound like you just came out of a 50s romance film. Carl raised a brow, clearly not expecting that, and let out an ear-piercing guffaw at my remark. He leaned back in his seat slightly, mug resting loosely in his hand.
You're a riot. I like you already.
His sweet comment gave me courage to say what I wanted to say all night. I just thought it'd be a good idea to get to know you better tonight. Oh, if you don't mind, that is.
You sure you want to get to know me better? I'm not sure what's so interesting about the guy who's up to his neck in work, trying to keep events from falling apart every other day though.
He gave a crooked smile, but there was a softness behind his bravado.
For sure, floor's all yours.
What are your hobbies? So what do you do during your free time?
Not to sound like a gym rat, but yeah, I usually head to the gym after work.
I can tell. That checks out. Anything else you like to do? Carl leaned back in his seat, the dim bar lights casting a warm glow on his face as he smiled.
I like going on night rides on my motorbike. Helps to clear my head. I just love racing down empty roads and hearing the sweet purr on my bad boy's engine.
Woo! May I hear the purr of your engine?
I also play baseball with a few old buddies on the weekend. As if I haven't reached my fitness goals by the middle of the week already.
He took a sip of his beer, then added with a playful grin.
Ooh, I'll never say no to karaoke too, but I'd say I'm actually a pretty good singer. Don't blame me if the mic never gets to you during our studio parties.
He laughed, a little bashful but clearly proud of his musical abilities. That's nice. What kind of songs do you normally sing?
I usually just give the Chinese oldies, like I Just Met You by Li Yugang, or You Exist in My Song by Wan Ting. God, they were so good. How about you? Listen to any music? Sing any songs?
Metal. I do like metal, a lot. I may not look like it, but I love metal. Kyle grinned like it was the funniest thing in the world.
Oh my god, I can totally imagine you with a face full of goth makeup, spiked choker, jet black hoodie with bangs covering one eye. Bet you'd blast screaming on the dead of night and complain about your parents to your 2D boyfriend or girlfriend online.
That made me laugh out loud. Guilty as charged. Bonus points if it was raining outside and I was staring dramatically out the window.
Classic. Now you just need a heavy waterproof eyeliner and a band tee 2 sizes too big to complete the look. So, anything else you'd like to know? You just here to admire the view.
A bit of both. He said with a teasing smirk, resting his arm casually on the back of the seat. I let out a soft chuckle. He could be so silly sometimes. You wish. I'm trying to do some field research.
Oh, so I'm the subject of case study now. Should I start flexing? You know, for research purposes?
What are your ambitions? What's something you've always wanted to try but haven't yet? Carl took a long sip of his beer. He seemed to be deep in thought.
I guess I'd like to go for a long motorcycle trip abroad.
He took another slow sip of his beer, eyes gazing off like he could already see the road stretching out in front of him.
Just me, my bike, and the open road. No schedule, no destination. Just enjoying the scenic goals, getting to know the locals, and fully immersing myself in nature. Sounds kind of freeing, doesn't it?
There was a wistfulness in his voice, a softness beneath his macho exterior. That actually sounds really nice. I can imagine you looking so badass with a blissful expression on your face.
Glad you agree.
Where do you want to take a ride the most? Me?
Italy. Somewhere in the countryside, preferably, you know, where the mountains meet the sea. Just saw a photo once. Gorgeous scenery. Just imagine this. Cliffside roads, the ocean sparkling on one side, and winding curves with sleepy villages on the other.
The corners of his mouth lifted with a rare warmth.
Riding through a place like that, it just feels like something I need to do at least once in my life.
Kyle turned his attention back to me.
Where's one place you'd like to go one day?
His voice is softer now, like he genuinely wanted to know. Exploring a bed? No. A beach trip. I'm always a slug of beach retreats. I've heard great things about the beaches in Honolulu. Kyle grinned at the mention, as if I just brought up a favorite memory.
Beaches are solid vacation spots. Nothing beats the sound of waves and tanning the shit out of your pasty office skin, man.
Totally. And I'm already imagining myself lying on the sand, a cold drink in a hand and soaking up all that vitamin D goodness. Speaking of vitamin D,
You paint a good picture.
his eyes drifted away for a second, lost in thought.
Makes on a book a trip right now.
He looked so relaxed. I felt as though he could already feel the ocean breeze. He turned his gaze back to me, a hopeful flicker behind his eyes.
One day, who knows? Could happen sooner than you think.
Hypothetically speaking, would you really come along if I planned a beach trip? I teased.
If you're going, of course I'd be tempted to join. I hope you get to go one day.
There was no teasing in his tone this time, just genuine warmth. For a guy built like a tank, he sure knew how to make his words land gently. Thanks, same to you.
No, if you ever need a companion on the road, I wouldn't mind chasing a few dreams with you.
There was a small silence between us as a gentle warmth started creeping up my cheeks. This man was so dangerously good at flirting that it made me question whether the heat was coming from the alcohol or from my growing affection towards him. As though he'd seen through my thoughts, Kyle merely let out a soft chuckle and leaned back slightly, his beer mug resting on the table.
So, any more questions to get to know Lemois?
He raised an eyebrow with a playful grin, adding a mock French flair to the phrase. Clearly trying to lighten the mood again. Taste in media. What's your go-to genre for movies or shows? Kyle leaned in slightly, a teasing glint in his eyes.
Would you like to guess?
I gave him a playful squint, pretending to analyze his personality. He likes action. Are you an action kind of guy?
I suppose that's the most obvious choice. Bzz, that's not it.
Really? You totally look like you watched at least every Darwin CD film, at least twice.
Fair, but no.
Romance? You don't look like it, but I don't suppose you're into romance movies.
Oof, I mean, I might look like a tough guy, but I'm totally fine with romance. Not my top pick, though.
Drama? You seem like a drama kind of guy. Kyle let out a short laugh and shook his hand.
I do love a good office drama in real life, but I personally don't like to binge through seasons of the same thing.
Horror and thriller. Is it horror and thriller? Kyle grimaced playfully at the guess.
Look, I might look like a tough guy, but absolutely not. I especially can't stand gore and horror. Always makes me feel nauseous.
It's none of the options. Really?
Yeah, I'll take a jump scare for blood and guts any day. Though I'd rather watch anything else if given the chance.
Alright, I give up. Kyle chuckled, his beer mug resting lightly in his hand as he looked at my pouty lips.
Alright.
His voice leaned in slightly, lowering his voice like he was about to share a juicy secret.
I love me a good comedy. Like the slapstick, the stupid kind, the more absurd the better. Give me ridiculous plots, over-the-top characters, and jokes that don't always land, but still make you laugh anyway. Those types of shows can keep me happy for days.
He let out a soft laugh at his own confession, and rubbed the back of his neck at the same time, as if it was a secret only a small group of people were privy to.
It's probably the only thing that helps me turn my brain off after a long day. Doesn't even have to come close to fine art or anything remotely similar to what we have to do in the studio, but it doesn't have to be entertaining, right? I feel like the genre doesn't really matter as long as you have a good time, if you ask me. Being able to laugh freely is the best feeling in the world.
He glanced over at me, realizing that he might have overshared.
I'm so lame, aren't I?
Not at all. I like how you're so passionate about this.
Thanks. It means a lot coming from the new kid on the block.
He smiled warmly, his toughness gradually melting by the second.
Alright. Enough about me. Your turn.
He propped his head up with an elbow on the table, tilting his head slightly as his gaze settled on me. I like horror. I love horror flicks, especially slasher films. Kyle lets out a low whistle and sets down his drink as if he didn't trust what I was going to say next.
You're braver than me. Can't handle all that blood and screaming.
He gave an animated shiver.
You'll see me running out the door before the killer even shows up on screen.
He laughs, then points at me with mock suspicion.
Wait, don't tell me you're the type who laughs during horror movies.
You had to watch one with me one day to find out.
Remind me never to let you pick a horror movie during our team building sessions.
There was another short pause as Kyle took another sip from his drink, his gaze settling back on me with a sweet grin.
Any more questions for me? I don't mind playing open book tonight.
Nope, that's all. Kyle was surprisingly fun to talk to. So much so that I didn't even realize how much time had passed. His easygoing nature, the way he laughed at my jokes and the warmth in his smile made it all too easy to get comfortable. And comfortable I was until a twisting feeling in my stomach brought me back down to reality. At first my body only felt a little warm and slightly fuzzy around the edges, but it wasn't long until the room I was in began slowly spinning, as if I had just stepped into a circus carousel. How many cocktails did I have? I blinked trying to recall, but to no avail. As the spinning sensation got worse, I realized that I had to step away before the nausea got worse. With a sheepish smile, I pushed my empty glass slightly away and stood up. "Excuse me," I murmured, placing a hand lightly on the table for balance. "I think I'll need to step out for a bit of air. I'll be back in a bit." Kyle gave me a curious look, but before he could stop me, I quickly slipped away from the table. I felt lightheaded, as every thought that swirled in my mind began turning a little too fuzzy around the edges. The warm buzz I felt earlier had suddenly warped into a dizzy spiral the moment I stood up. I excused myself politely and made my way to the entrance. Relying solely on my instincts now, I made a beeline to the back of the bar and hoped no one saw. Gravel crunched beneath my shoes as I searched for the nearest trash bin or bush or anything. Dignity could wait. Right now, survival came first. I yanked open the nearest trash bin lid and bent over, heaving all the food and fruity cocktails I'd been sipping like juice the entire evening. I heard hurried footsteps approaching from behind.
Shit, maybe I should have stopped you at one point. I'm so sorry.
You sounded a bit too casual for someone consoling a drunk person crouched over a trash bin. Once the nausea subsided, I wiped my mouth clean with the back of my shirt sleeve, not daring to look up just yet. He knelt beside me, his large frame casting a shadow under the dim lighting. Something cold touched my shoulder, which caused me to flinch. It was a chilled bottle of water. Condensation trailed down the plastic, beading like sweat.
Maybe this will help.
There was no longer any trace of teasing in his tone. I took the bottle with trembling fingers, grateful for the kind gesture. "He's so sweet." "Thanks," I murmured quietly, my voice barely above a whisper. I tried not to let him see my embarrassment burning my cheeks, though I was sure my bright red ears gave it away anyway.
Don't mention it.
He gave me a small shrug, but his worried eyes stayed on me.
But, I think it's better if you call in a night. You don't look too hot right now.
I mustered a weak nod, my world still tilting slightly beneath my feet.
Can you stand and walk? I can walk you home if you want.
"We'll do yes. And then we'll do the spice." And I think this just gets us the same ending that we already got in Kace's route. Yes. I shifted my weight to gauge the remaining strength of my legs. They felt a little wobbly, but at least I could stand. Sway mostly, but it was better than not being able to at all. "Yeah, I think." Carl didn't hesitate. He extended his hand to me, steady and firm. I reached for it and he helped pull me to my feet with ease.
Great. That means we can get you home safely.
His voice was light, but there was a quiet sense of responsibility behind his words. Almost as if he'd done this before, or perhaps he couldn't bear to see me stumble in the dark by myself.
Now I just need you to tell me where you live so we can get you home safe and sound.
I did my best to explain, mumbling out the directions of my apartment through the fog clouding my brain.
"Okay, it's not that far. Let me walk you back."
Before I could protest, Carl stepped closer and slipped an arm around my back, hooking his other hand under my arm to steady me. My feet barely touched the ground. I felt like I was floating. The way he carried me with his strength made it feel like I weighed nothing at all. Coupled with the remaining effects of the alcohol, it was almost euphoric. We slowly made our way through the quiet streets. As the cool night air brushed against my skin, it also brought along with it the smell of his cologne. I could even hear the steady thumps of his heartbeat if I listened close enough. Each step felt a little steadier thanks to his strong presence beside me. He didn't say much, only to check in if I was doing alright. And yet, that made the walk feel all the more comforting.
"Almost there. You're doing great,"
he said softly, adjusting his grip as I accidentally stepped on my foot. The streetlights flickered above us, painting golden streaks on the pavement as we passed. It was as if the world had gone still. It was just the distant sound of our footsteps and the distant hum of a passing car. It didn't take long until we reached my building. Kyle helped me up to the elevator and down the hall to my unit. When I dug through my bags and fumbled for my keys, he stopped me.
"Let me."
He gently took the keys from my hand, unlocking the door, holding it open as I stepped inside. All the stresses of the night immediately melted the instant the familiar scent of home greeted me. I wanted nothing more than to bury myself in my bedsheets now. He walked me in just far enough to make sure I wouldn't collapse the second the door shut.
"You made it."
I turned to face him, wobbling just slightly this time. "Thank you for everything tonight. You know you didn't have to." He gave me a small smile, his gaze tinged with concern.
"I know, but I wanted to."
I leaned back against the wall as he handed the keys back. At this point, I didn't bother to hide the raging blush on my cheeks. Just before I could close the door, he held up a hand to stop me.
"Drink some water before you go to bed, yeah? Maybe try not to go head to head with fruity cocktails next time. You and I already know who's gonna win."
I let out a soft laugh. "I swear I'll win next time."
"Sure you will. Good night, Uni."
"Oh, that's so sweet." With that, he closed the door behind him to leave me in the quiet of my apartment, with a dizzy head, a fluttering heart, and the memory of his steady hand still lingering on my back. That was cute. So I feel like Kyle is actually just a green flag because nothing creepy happened in his route. Let's do the spicy ending though. No. My head was still pounding. Every limb felt unbearably heavy. 3 drinks had definitely been too much for a night out. Tonight wasn't exactly the best time to figure that out.
"I think we should try getting you home now. You wanna try standing?"
I tried. I really did. But the moment I shifted my weight, my legs buckled beneath me. The world tilted sideways and I sank back down, dizzy and unsteady. I shook my head slowly. My legs felt like they were jelly and my whole body felt warm and sluggish. Can't do it, huh? Okay, how about you tell me where you live? I could book a bread car to send you back. I blinked at him, my thoughts swimming through fog. I don't know. I forgot. So eepy. I was in a state where I was slurring every word, much to Carl's dismay. Carl raised an eyebrow as he crossed his arms like he was weighing his options. He glanced around, spotted a rundown motel not far from the bar. What about that motel over there? You crashed there for the night. I could only nod in reply. He held out a hand and I instinctively reached for it. In one swift motion, he scooped me up into his arms like I weighed nothing, Princess Carrie style. Without warning, my face was mere inches from his. He was so close now. I could feel my face heating up. But thankfully, the night was dark enough to hide my embarrassment. He looked at me in my eyes, concern written clearly across his face. I hope that didn't startle you. How you doing now? I shook my head slowly. Everything felt heavy. I was too sleepy to even form words. Yikes, I'll pick up the pace then. He started brisk walking towards the motel. As he cradled me in his arms, he used one hand to massage the small of my back in slow, comforting circles. Emboldened by the alcohol in my system, I wrapped my arms around his neck and rested my head on his shoulder to get more comfortable. I felt so safe in his arms. In what felt like a flash, Kyle was now talking to someone. Presumably the receptionist of the motel. His voice was a mere low murmur in my ears. I couldn't make out the words at all. All I could focus was on the warmth of him against me. Suddenly, we're moving again, down the dimly lit hallway. Yes, we're about to blink. He stopped in front of the room 025 and pressed the card to the reader. With a soft click, he pushed the door open to bring the both of us inside. A warm yellow glow illuminated the modest room. The hum of the air conditioner filled the space. A steady breeze sending a wave of cool air drifting through the room. Home sweet home, eh, Uni? I hummed in agreement. Carl then gently placed me onto the mattress, allowing my tired frame to sink into the duvet. Just as I was about to drift off to dreamland, something warm and damp touches my face. Carl was wiping my face with a damp towel. He's so cute. Gotta clean those peak stains off. Can't let you go to bed like that. I let out a playful whine and squirmed under his touch, trying to make it difficult for him. No, let me eat. Come on now, be good. He let out a small sigh before holding my jaw in place with one hand to keep my face still. He was frowning, his face focused and serious as he dabbed at my skin. The stark contrast between now and his cheery self almost made me laugh. But then his expression shifted, his eyes widened slightly in surprise. Wait, where'd this come from? His finger brushed against my forehead, just near the left corner of my hairline, tracing the small scar I'd had for as long as I could remember. Oh, that? I'm not really sure. My mom told me that some kid had pushed me when I was little. I probably fell into something hard afterwards. That's most likely how I got the scar. His frown deepened at my answer. I see. The way he said that sounded so cold and distant. It left me confused. Did you push me when I was a child? Did I accidentally upset him? Once he finished wiping my face, Kyle tossed a damp towel on the nightstand and turned his bulky body towards the front door. I should go. Take care, and good night. Ask him to stay or let him leave. We'll do let him leave first and then we'll do ask him to stay. Good night, Kyle. Thank you for everything. With that, he left me alone in the room with my swirling drunken thoughts. Something about him felt different tonight. He was never this cold in the office. Where did his easy smile and that carefree happy-go-lucky energy I secretly come to like go all of a sudden? It was as if he had warped into another person. The thought nagged at the back of my mind as I switched off all the lights to plunge the room into darkness. And soon after, I drifted into a deep dreamless sleep. I woke up to a throbbing head and dull ache pulsing behind my eyes. The ceiling wasn't mine. The ceiling above me wasn't mine. I blinked a few times trying to make sense of where I was. This wasn't my room. The sheets were different. The air smelled faintly of disinfectant and cheap fabric softener. Then slowly, memories of last night started to return. Flashes of laughter, the fruity strings of cocktails, my legs giving out, and Kyle. Right, Kyle was here with me last night, but he left afterwards, so here I was all alone. A wave of nausea soon followed, but I gritted through it. Grabbing my bag from the nightstand, I rummaged through for my phone. It was 11:30 AM, almost noontime. My phone battery was running low, but what shocked me was the amount of notifications I'd accumulated since last night. Okay, this just goes back to Ray talking to us, so we're gonna go back and ask him to stay. Ask him to stay. I shot up from bed and grabbed his right wrist, stopping him in his tracks. Wait, didn't you want to stay the night? Kyle turned around abruptly to face me. His expression flustered, a deep blush bloomed across his cheeks and crept up his ears. What do you mean by that? I gave him a sly grin and gently tugged him closer. Why don't we have a little fun tonight? The night's still young, you know? Yay, you ho! His blush deepened and he quickly looked away. Come on, Kyle. You know you want a piece of this, don't you? Yay! That was his trigger. That expression. Okay, maybe he's not as sweet as I thought he was. In a flash, His shy awkwardness faded and was instantly replaced with a seriousness that made my breath hitch.
Well, once you're a little minx. Let's just hope you don't regret this.
The sharp, unpleasant sting of cigarette smoke jolted me awake from my slumber the next morning. Could you not have smoked on the balcony? I opened my eyes, squinting against the light, and scanned the room. To my horror, I realized this was not where I was supposed to be. This wasn't my room. Why was I half naked? The realization sent waves of confusion washing over me as I tried to piece together the events that led me to this unfamiliar place. I started scolding myself. Who gets drunk on their first night out with their colleagues?
You awake?
I turned to the voice. "He looks pretty. Why are you smoking? That's so inconsiderate." He was leaning against the headboard, smoking a cigarette between his fingers. Smoke curled lazily in the air as he took a slow drag, then exhaled in my direction. I started coughing profusely while fanning the smoke away from my face.
My brother's terrible at picking cigarette brands. This one's disgusting, but it'll do.
He held the cigarette out towards me.
You want a drag?
I shook my head.
Not much of a smoker, huh? Suit yourself.
Why is he so different? He shrugged and brought the cigarette back to his lips, taking another long drag as a silence hung between us.
You should get going. We should check out by noon. Go take a shower or something. You look terrible and you smell even worse.
Hey! Why is he so mean now? He was right. I felt awful, looked worse, and the hangover had officially come to collect its dues. I grabbed the towel by the nightstand and wrapped it around myself, trying to maintain at least a modicum of modesty. Even though realistically, he'd already seen everything the night before. Without another word, I sprinted to the bathroom to take a quick shower, hoping it would wash away the grime and the fog in my head. Carl didn't seem to pay me any mind as I got dressed and gathered my things. His gaze was fixed out the motel window, cigarette long gone, his expression unreadable. I hesitated by the door, watching him one last time. I figured I should at least say something, some kind of goodbye to make our next encounter at work a little less awkward. "I'll be going then. Thanks for taking care of me. I'll see you on Monday?"
Mm-hmm.
He hummed quietly in acknowledgement, not even bothering to look at me. He felt so different now. What happened? He was more distant and colder compared to the version of him I met 2 days ago. I couldn't help but wonder, did I accidentally do anything wrong to make him treat me like this? Not now. The questions can wait. I just wanted to leave. As soon as I stepped out of the motel, the soreness from last night hit me all at once. Wow, how hard did we go? I winced slightly with each step. I couldn't wait to get home, pop a painkiller, and sleep off the rest of this weird situation. And then we check our phone and Ray absolutely yells at us, rightfully so. Okay, well, we've done this. So we are going to go back to the beginning and go to the cafe. Because the bakery led us to Kyle, I'm assuming the cafe leads us to the other remaining love interests. Alright, cafe time. It didn't take long until I arrived at my go-to cafe, Cookie Plate. The familiar side of the cozy cafe immediately brought me a sense of relief. As I walked through the front doors, I hear the cheerful sounds of the doorbell. It felt like a warm hug. The rich aroma of freshly roasted coffee beans filled the air, almost instantly jolting me out of my half-awake state. The morning rush was in full swing. The coffee shop buzzed with the usual symphony of chatter, clinking mugs and the low rumble of business types, eager for their daily dose of wake-up juice. The barista was calling out names as she juggled multiple orders at once, her voice soft and loud enough to cut through the soft jazz music playing in the background. It was the kind of cozy chaos I come to love. It was sweet, watching everyone so lost in their little morning rituals, all united by that first magical sip of caffeine. I took my place at the end of the line, zoning out for a moment and stared at the chalkboard where today's specials were written. The warm light from the overhead lamps reflected off the polished wood of the counter, making everything feel familiar and safe. And choices, choices. So many options to choose from. The nasi lemak and kopi sounded perfect, an immaculate blend of spicy and savory flavors, paired with a variety of textures so good they kept you coming back for more. But then again, the breakfast set with jasmine tea looked mighty tempting too. A lighter option with more delicate and refreshing flavors. While deep in thought, I didn't notice that the line had moved so quickly. And before I knew it, I was already right in front of the lines, directly eye level with the cashier. "Good morning, what can I get you today?" she asked, her voice warm and inviting. I blinked and quickly shook away my indecision. Let's do the breakfast set with jasmine tea. I'll have the breakfast set, please." "Great choice." The cashier flashed me a smile before tapping a few times on the monitor of the register to place my order. "Here's your receipt. Your order will be coming up in just a minute." I thanked her and took the receipt with my order number with me. Scanning the cafe floor, I tried searching for a place to sit. While seemingly full, there were still a few vacant seats up for the taking. I choose the table at the right-hand corner near the window where a gentle-looking man was sitting alone. I'm assuming that's Noel. The table at the left-hand corner where a man who looked a little intense was seated. Either Riku or Julian? Let's do this one. With my receipt in hand, I made my way to the only table with a vacant seat on the left side of the cafe. Aww. Yay! Someone was already seated there, his ruby red eyes gazing distantly out the window. He wore a deep red t-shirt with a grey button down layered over it. The way it hung loose made it seem like he couldn't be bothered to fix it in the morning. The black nails he was rocking, a few chipped at the edges, were wrapped around a cappuccino that had probably gone lukewarm by now. He looked distant, detached from the world around him. It looked as if his body was here but his thoughts were miles away. His whole vibe literally screamed, "Please don't talk to me." And yet, here I was, encroaching into his space, ruining his aura. I lightly rested my hand on the empty chair opposite him and cleared my throat. "Is the seat taken?" He blinked, his lazy eyes drifting upwards like his head had just awoken from a dream. A full face of confusion stared back at me. I reckon he didn't catch my question the first time. Just as I was about to open my mouth to repeat myself, he spoke first. "Sure, I'm almost done anyway." His voice was low and completely devoid of emotion. Immediately after, he turned his attention back to the window, uninterested in entertaining me any further. I gave him a small nod before taking the seat across from him. As I reached for my phone to occupy myself, I could not but steal a few quick glances at him. He's striking, in an intimidating, don't mess with me kind of way. The short half ponytail look he had on suited him. He had slicked his jet black hair back, just enough to show off his strong brows and high cheekbones. His skin had a warm, rich caramel tone that contrasted nicely against the red hues of his shirt. He doesn't look like someone you casually strike up a conversation with, but that only made my curiosity grow even more. I reckon he could feel my gaze lingering on him as his fingers fidgeted around his coffee cup. The way he shifted slightly in his seat gave away the fact that he felt uncomfortable at the moment. Guilty as charged, I decided I didn't want to end up behind bars on my first day at work, so I quickly averted my eyes to my phone instead. Nothing good comes out of being a creep. Yes, that is true. With the press of a button, the screen lit up with the day's top headlines. Spike in local missing persons reports. Yikes, that's not exactly comforting. I frowned, tapping to see a headline for a moment, only to see the vague details of young adults mostly, some kids going missing without a trace. No ransom notes, no signs of struggle. Just gone. The police say they're investigating, but from the tone of the article it doesn't sound like there's much progress. A chill runs down my spine, but I scroll past it. Not today. I don't want this anxiety before my first day. Murasaki Group CEO donates over 50 million to Pink Iris Church. Faith is the light of society. I blink. Wow, that's a lot of money. I heard of the Pink Iris Church before. Who hasn't? Their temples are everywhere, all soft hues and smiling faces promising peace and purpose, but something about them feels too polished, too perfect. Still, it's not like I have any strong opinions. Just weird to see the head of a powerful tech conglomerate publicly pouring money into religion like that. A little sus, if I'm being honest. And then one headline catches my attention and makes me perk up slightly. Pixel Playground Studios' immersive art event captivates the youth market. Hey, now that's relevant. I click on it immediately. The article is full of praise from the event's creativity, its tech-forward experience, and the emotional resonance of the art. A bold new era for digital storytelling, the review says, highlighting the innovative team behind it. That's the place I'm starting at today. Reading the glowing review makes something flutter in my chest. Nervous pride? Hope? The fear of screwing everything up? That's very real. Probably all the above. I skim through the rest of the feeds absentmindedly, pretending to care more about the world's affairs than the quiet storm of mystery sitting across from me. I like him, he's so cute. Ooh, that looks so good. My attention was pulled away just as the waitress arrived with my breakfast. The plate was warm and inviting, stacked with the kind of comfort food that made waking up early worth it. The scrambled eggs are perfectly done. Creamy, soft, and lightly seasoned, practically melting into the buttered toast arranged neatly beside it. The toast itself was crisp on the outside and fluffy on the inside. It had the right amount of golden brown char to give it a satisfying crunch. 2 plump sausages rested behind a handful of fresh salad greens, topped with a light vinaigrette dressing. They added a touch of color and freshness to the plate. It was a complete breakfast, hearty, satisfying, and just the kind of meal I needed to calm my jittery nerves before my first day. The meal was also served with a warm cup of jasmine tea, with steam that curled upwards in lazy spirals. I breathed in the scent deeply. Floral and soft, it felt like taking a breath in a garden after rain. The scent alone was enough to soothe the tightness in my chest. I basked in a little moment of peace before preparing myself for the rest of my big day. However, before I could even dig into my meal, a phone on the table buzzed violently, and up with text. The man sitting opposite suddenly shifted in his seat in response. One quick glance was enough to make his brows quirk up. Downing the remnants of his cappuccino, like his life depended on it, he swiped his phone from the table and rose from the seat abruptly. Shit, gotta go. He cursed under his breath. Seconds later, he made a beeline to the exit, as if in a rush to somewhere. Busy man. He left behind only a faint trail of his cologne and an outline of his presence in the seat. Nobody else came to occupy the seat in front of me, so I finished my meal in silence. As I let the harmony of flavors take me to nirvana, my mind couldn't help but drift back to the seemingly familiar man who left just now. Something about him refused to escape my mind. It was as though he had helped awaken a distant memory I'd buried in the recesses of my mind long ago. The way he appeared in my life made me feel like he came from a forgotten dream. Or it was more akin to a page torn from the middle of a story. I had no idea why it kept nagging in my mind. I suppose only time would tell. Once I was done with my delectable meal, I gathered my things and exited the cafe to bask in the morning sun. The air felt somewhat warmer now, or perhaps it was my internal engine warming up for the day. It was about time to begin my journey to work. I gave one last glance at the vacant seat at my table, just now where the stranger occupied. Weird guy, and we made it to work. Alright, let's skip forward and see what he says. Does he recognize us if we say hi to him now? I couldn't believe my eyes. It was the quiet man from the cafe again. The one who had a pair of striking red pupils. He was sitting at his desk completely absorbed in whatever was on the monitor in front of him. His hunched posture looked stiff. Paired with his furrowed brows, his fingers flew across his keyboard in precise, swift movements. He didn't even seem to register our presence as we arrived at his cubicle. His gaze was fixed shut to the screen in front of him. He certainly seemed intense. The way he was hyper-focused on his work made me feel like he had built a wall between himself and the rest of the world. And right now we were stuck on the other side. Riku cleared his throat. It was enough to snap the man out of his self-inflicted hyper-focused trance. Okay, he does not recognize us. Like, we recognize him and that's it. Oh well, moving on. Well, I tried to speak to Julian again, the party, to see if he would be more willing to talk to us because we met him already, but no, he still doesn't want to talk to us. So, let's start from here again, and we will go to the gentle-looking man. I walked towards the table placed by the window on the right side of the cafe, where a gentle-looking man sat by himself, completely immersed in the book, resting between his slender fingers. He was so quiet, so lost in his world, it almost seemed like he was a centerpiece of a painting. He looked rather out of place sitting alone like that in the middle of a bustling morning cafe. He's so pretty, look at him! Hi, is a seat taken? I asked, gesturing to the empty spot across the man. He looked up at me with a startled look on his face, as if I had just pulled him out of a pleasant dream. His eyes were the color of gold, they were striking to behold. No, it's not. Please go ahead. He replied, his voice soft and tinged with nervousness, as if he wasn't used to being approached like this. I slid into the seat opposite him, a polite smile on my lips. He gave me a small nod in acknowledgement. I could see a faint pink glow form on his cheeks before he quickly buried his head in the pages of his book once more. Now that I was sitting across from him, I couldn't help but study him in detail. He was beautiful, not in a real conventional way, but in an ethereal and unattainable kind of way. His blonde hair was slicked back in a loose ponytail, with wispy strands curling cutely at the ends. With the morning light shining through the windows, the golden hue of his locks looked like they were almost glowing. His eyes were a pair of shimmering amber gems, catching the sunlight and gleaming with a quiet inner warmth. They were the kind of eyes that made you do a double, triple take, like they belonged in a fantasy novel. He is very pretty. He still gives me like Julian vibes. I love him. He was wearing a white button-up shirt with a delicate-looking pleated pattern. The fabric looked neat and crisp under his pastel green sweater vest that made him almost have an air of a scholar to him. His complexion was impossibly smooth, almost like porcelain without a single flaw. It looked so soft that made me wonder if he ever had a single bad skin day in his life. Even though he seemed hunched over his book, he seemed tall for his frame. However, the lack of muscles padding his bones made me worry that a mere gust of wind was enough to blow away the whole man. Aww. He began shifting uncomfortably in his seat. It was only now that I realized that my intense gaze had probably bored a hole through his book. And there was no doubt in my mind that he knew I was checking him out. Whoops. In my desperate attempt to restore my image, I quickly looked away and unlocked my phone to catch up on the latest news. While idly scrolling through the front page of The Sun, I tried my best to shake off the image of his angelic features from my mind. Spike in local missing person reports leave community on edge. Yikes. Not exactly the most uplifting piece of news to hear this early in the day. I frowned, clicking into the article. It mentioned a few recurring cases of young adults and a few kids completely vanishing into thin air. No ransom note, no signs of struggle. Just gone. The article pointed out that the police were taking this seriously and conducting this through investigation in each case. But judging by the tone of the article, it doesn't sound like much progress has been made so far. My eyes landed on another interesting headline. Murasaki Group CEO donates over $50 million to Pink Iris Church. Faith is the light of society. I blinked in disbelief. Wow, that was a lot of money. And it was to the Pink Iris Church. The famous one that had churches scattered literally everywhere. Their members always smiled and had bubbly personalities. The The church always seemed to promise peace and purpose to everyone who walked into the gates. I joined one of their services before out of curiosity, but something about them felt too polished, too perfect. To this day, I still couldn't figure out what it was. Every fiber in my being just screamed "get out" the whole time I was there. Perhaps it just wasn't for me. However, a weird gut feeling surfaced when I saw the head of a powerful tech conglomerate publicly pouring money into religion like that. Just calling it suspicious wasn't doing it justice. I couldn't even begin to imagine the type of things that went on in the shadows. I sure hoped that wasn't the case. The next headline made me sit up in my seat in excitement. Pixel Playground Studios immersive art captivates the youth market. I thanked the overlords for giving me something I was actually interested in for once. I clicked on it immediately. The article was chock full of praise for the event's creativity, its tech-forward experience, and the emotional resonance of all the art pieces. A bold new era for digital storytelling, one reviewer wrote. They went behind to highlight the innovative team behind the successful event. I felt a sudden sense of pride surge inside me, knowing that I was literally 30 minutes away from starting my internship there. I snuck another peek at the blonde stranger sitting across from me who was now completely immersed in his book. He looked so oblivious with his lips moving ever so slightly with each word that he read. A waitress carrying a tray of food and drink I had ordered suddenly appeared in front of me, distracting me from my oogling. That looks so good. My attention was pulled away just as the waitress arrived with my breakfast. I ate my meal quietly, scrolling through my feed to keep my eyes off the beautiful stranger in front of me. The risk of getting caught staring again was way too high. Once I finished my food, I stood up to my feet and offered a small nod in his direction. "Thanks for letting me sit here," I said, just loud enough to make sure he heard me. The meal gave me the strength and boost of energy I needed to face the rest of the day. And we are here. Let's encounter Noel again after we just met him. I was certain I'd seen this man before. He was the man with the book this morning. He was intensely focused on typing away at his keyboard, only pausing when he noticed us approaching. Riku greeted the man warmly. And yeah, he doesn't recognize us. Okay, well, moving on to the party. Let's speak to Noel. Noel was seated among a few colleagues I don't remember the names of, occasionally nodding to whatever conversation was going on. Look at him with his melon float, he's so cute. It was obvious that his attention was clearly elsewhere. His eyes were fixed on the soda float and the plate of perfectly golden and crisp fries stacked neatly beside a small dish of ketchup. His ice-cold melon soda float shimmered under the warm bar lights as a scoop of vanilla ice cream slowly melted into the fizzy green drink. There was something quietly endearing about how focused he looked. Not at the chatter going on around him, but the bar food and the drink instead. He's adorable, he's so cute. Maybe it was because of how he found solace in the comfort of food, or maybe he just didn't care for loud conversations. It was the way he looked so gentle, so unbothered by the buzz of chatter around him that I decided to approach him. Out of everyone here, I feel like he'd be a great person to talk to. I slowly made my way over. "Hey Noel, mind if I sit here? Please let me sit there." He looked up, slightly startled at first. He quickly offered a tiny grin and gestured to the seat beside him. "Yay!" "Sure. You're not interrupting us or anything, I was just enjoying the drink." He gave a small chuckle. The rest of the group didn't seem to pay both of us any mind as they dove back into their discussions almost immediately. The vibrant green color, the fizzy bubbles that tickled my throat. It was like a childhood and summer vacation in a cup. Honestly, it might be the best thing I've tasted all day in my life even. I giggled at his fervent love for the drink. I don't think I'd ever met anyone who thought so highly of a green carbonated drink of artificial melon before. God, I miss melon floats. I haven't had one in so long. With the awkward tension gone, I mustered the courage to ask something that had been sitting in the back of my mind. "Noel, would it be okay if I got to know you a little better?" He blinked, clearly surprised. My question had caused his hand to freeze like a broken elevator with a limp fry dangling from his grasp. I would let him dangle something else from my grasp. A faint pink crept up his cheeks and he glanced away for a second before meeting my gaze again. "Oh, yeah, I mean, sure, I like that." There was a gentle warmth in his voice, a kind of quiet sincerity that made me feel like I hadn't overstepped my bounds. Maybe he just wasn't used to other people asking, but didn't seem to mind either way. "So what do you want to know?" Hobbies. What do you like to do for fun?" Noel looked down at his soda float, smiling at the straw with a thoughtful expression. "I've always loved to read ever since I was a child." He paused for a second, as if weighing whether to continue, then added with a quiet laugh. "And don't tell anyone, but shoujo mangas are my weakness. Sailor Star's my favorite manga of all time." My eyes widened with interest. "Really? That's so cute. Why Sailor Star?" He smiled a little bashfully. "There's just something so comforting about it. I love how each of the girls have their own strengths and personalities. They're not just pretty, they're brave, funny, awkward, loyal, and so much more. The story can take a dramatic turn sometimes, but the author sure knows how to keep the story entertaining."
don't get me started about their strong friendship.
It is pretty cute.
Every time I see the girls in action, makes me feel like things will turn out okay, even when times get tough.
He lets out a light chuckle and shakes his head.
I know it sounds cheesy, but sharing this with someone always makes me so happy.
Noel then turned to me, curiosity softening his features, his amber gold eyes reflecting the bar's dim lights.
Now that I've told you about what I like, what about you?
He leaned in slightly to signal his genuine interest in getting to know me. Oh! He had even abandoned his drink while anticipating my reply. I like reading too. I like to read too. Noel's eyes lit up, the curiosity on his face growing. And I'm not proud to admit this, but dark romance is my guilty pleasure. But don't tell anyone, okay? I gave him a sheepish smile and put my index finger to my lips. Noel leaned in a little, a soft grin forming.
Yeah, my word.
He then drew an X on his chest to convince me that he'd keep his promise. He's so cute. I'm so in love. Noel leaned back slightly in his seat, his gaze still warm and curious.
I like talking like this with you. Do you have any more questions? I don't mind.
The way he spoke was so gentle and controlled. It made me feel like he was genuinely willing to keep talking as long as I wanted to. Ambitions? What's something you've always wanted to try but haven't yet? Noel paused, thinking deep for a moment as he dipped another deep-fried victim into the ketchup and popped it into his mouth.
I guess I've always wanted to have a pet, maybe a kitten or something. I think it'd be nice to have something small and warm waiting for you at home.
I'm small and warm. I'll wait for you at home. His eyes softened a little.
But I don't think I can afford one yet. And with a job that demands my presence in the office, I hardly think it'll be fair to the little thing. What about you, Yinny? Do you have any pets?
I have a cat. I have a pet cat back at my parents'. I wish I could have brought it here to stay with me.
Oh, it's so cute. Do you have pictures? I'd love to see.
His soft voice showed genuine interest, the kind only a true pet lover could have. Of course I do. Give me a sec. I scrolled through my phone. Gallery, trying to find a good photo, preferably one where my gremlin of a cat wasn't a blur or curled up into an indistinguishable loaf. Yeah, I tilted the screen so no one could see. The photo showed my cat sitting in a sunbeam by the window. One paw stretched out and eyes half closed in a lazy blink.
Oh my god, it's adorable. It's really nice getting to know you better tonight.
He smiled, then took a slow sip of his melon soda float, causing the straw to bob slightly in the glass. So, what do you want to know? Taste and media. What's your go-to genre for movies and shows? Noah looked thoughtful for a moment, tapping a salty fry against the edge of the ketchup dish.
I've always loved watching documentaries, especially nature documentaries. They're just so calming to me.
He smiled faintly, eyes soft with a distant kind of longing.
I feel tempted to leave my city life behind for a quiet life in the forest after watching one sometimes.
I also fantasize about how great it would be if I was surrounded by trees and stars instead of screens and traffic. And the animals? I'd trade anything in the world for a chance to see them every day if I could. He chuckled softly and looked behind me for a moment with a wistful gaze.
Imagine just existing in peace.
Free from all the noise and danger, pure bliss. That to me would be the perfect life. He went quiet for a while, then turned to me.
But enough about me. What about you? What do you like to watch?
Romance, I guess. I'm a sucker for romance movies. Give me enemies to lovers, slow burn, slice of life. I'll eat all of that up like nobody's business.
Oh, I love romance too. Most of the shows are so soft and healing. It's like a warm blanket for the soul.
Noah stuffed a few more fries into his mouth before brushing his greasy fingers on a napkin. Noah was such a vibe as well. And whenever I'm at like work parties, I just eat and drink.
It's nice talking to you like this. Anything else you want to talk about? I don't mind.
Nope, that's all. It was only until now I realized that I might have enjoyed Noah's company a little too much. The steady flow of fruity cocktails had finally caught up with me, and before I knew it, the room had begun swaying gently at the edges. The chatter around me had turned into a dull hum, and the music, once a pleasant background, now throbbed a little too loud in my ears. My brows furrowed from trying to concentrate on sitting up straight. I think I need some fresh air. He nodded in understanding. Taking that as a cue to excuse myself, I quickly slipped out of the bar, hoping the cool night breeze would clear my head. And then we head outside, and then we vomit.
Oh god, hold on. Let me get your hair.
Oh, he's so cute. Look at him. Before I could say anything, Noel instantly appeared by my side. He gently pulled my hair back and began rubbing slow circles on my back with his palm. His touch was warm and steady as he coaxed me into taking deep breaths to tide through the waves of nausea assaulting me. His reassuring voice and the quiet care in his gestures made everything feel a little less overwhelming.
There. Feeling a bit better now?
Yeah, a little. I could see his brows knit slightly, worry evident in his expression.
You really don't look too good. I think you should call it a night and go home. Can you stand?
Alright, we're gonna go yes first and then we'll do spicy. Without a second of hesitation, Noel stretched out his hand towards me. I reached for it and he gently pulled me up to my feet. Thanks.
He offered a small reassuring smile, steadying me with a hand on my arm. Don't worry, I've got you.
Noel glanced at me, worry still written all over his face.
Mind telling me where you live? I can send you home.
His words were soft yet careful, as if he didn't just overstep his bounds, just didn't help someone in need. Could sense that he meant well. No bad guy would just randomly help a defenseless girl he met a day ago, right? My apartment's around 10 minutes from here. Near that nice lady's place, Auntie Lim's? I think so. I can't remember now. My mind was still woozy from the after effects of the cocktail. I couldn't think straight. All the details just looked like a blur.
I think I know the place. Alright, let's get you home safe.
Noel proceeded to carefully guide me along the sidewalk, his hand steady at my back just in case I stumbled again. The night air helped a little. With the cool breeze brushing against my face, I felt myself getting more sober with each step. He didn't say much at first, just matching his pace to mine and occasionally glancing over to check on me.
Are you doing okay?
Yeah, the fresh air is helping. Thanks for walking me home. He gave a small nod and his lips formed a soft smile.
No need to thank me. Just be glad you're not in this alone.
We passed by a few closed shops and a late-night noodle cart. There wasn't any awkward tension beneath the silence. It almost felt necessary, like we both needed the quiet after our long conversation at the bar. When my apartment building finally came into view, Noel gave a little sigh of relief.
We're here.
Yippee! We stopped just outside the front entrance. I fumbled for my keys, still feeling lightheaded.
Floor number?
I blinked at him, a brief moment of clarity returning to me. As cautious as I could be in my intoxicated state, I could tell that he was just concerned for my safety. I couldn't sense that he had any intention to pry into my private life. 319, floor 3.
Alright, I'll walk you home. I just want to make sure you actually get inside safely before I leave.
The elevator ride was quiet, save for the low hum of the machinery. I leaned slightly against the wall, trying my best to stay upright. Noel merely stood beside me like a quiet pillar of support at the sight. When we reached my floor, he waited patiently as I unlocked the door with my shaky hands. I managed to get it on the second try.
In you go.
I pushed the door open and turned back to face him, leaning slightly on the frame. Thanks, Noel, really, for everything. Noel flashed me his signature gentle smile.
No problem. Get lots of rest, okay? Remember to go drink some water before you get to bed, and text me if anything happens.
He lingered for a moment, as if to make sure I wouldn't collapse the second he turned away. It's late. You should head back. I promise I'll be fine.
Alright, good night, Uni.
He waited until I closed the door behind me before I heard his retreating footsteps down the hall. I closed the door for a moment and leaned against it, exhaling slowly. The apartment was dark and quiet. I kicked off my shoes, made my way to my bedroom, and let myself collapse onto the bed. The room spun just slightly, but the softness of the sheets grounded me. I pulled the blanket over myself and let sleep take me. I was so grateful for Noel and for the safety of my home. Woohoo! Okay, maybe Noel is just sweet. I know I said that about Kyle and he didn't turn out to be sweet, but maybe Noel is. Let's go boink him. No. I shook my head. A flicker of anxiousness crossed Noel's face as he glanced around, clearly unsure what to do next. His eyes landed on the sight of a nearby motel. Its glow soft against the light.
Maybe I can bring you to that motel.
You can rest there for the night. I merely nodded in agreement, as my mind was too numb to form any words. Noel stretched out a hand, and I took it without hesitation. His palm was warm and unexpectedly smooth to the touch. Now that I was standing next to him, I just realized how tall he was. Like a gentle giant, he gave me a sense of comfort in my disoriented state.
Come with me, I'll bring you there.
With my hand in his, he slowly guided me towards the motel. My delirious mind made it seem like it was much further than it actually was. With my unsteady gait proving unreliable, I leaned onto him for support, each movement sluggish as if my body was stuck in slow motion. Noel chuckled softly at my clumsy footsteps.
Easy does it. I'll make sure we both arrive in one piece.
I sobered up slightly when a gust of cold air brushed against my face. I had no idea how long had passed, but we finally made it into the front entrance of the building. As if possessed, I slumped forward to rest my pounding head on the reception counter. Noel held onto my hand firmly the whole time. I could only hear muffled and indistinct voices as he spoke to the receptionist. My world was spinning again, and all I could focus on was resting my eyes. Noel seemed to be taking forever to get a room. Bored and restless, I decided to bother him. Noel, what's taking you so long? I reached out to poke his cheek with a lazy finger. He glanced at me, a small chuckle escaping his worried expression.
Just a little while more.
I'm almost done, yeah? He's so patient. Oh my god. Okay. It took a few more minutes before Noel's warm hand tugged at mine gently, pulling me back to reality.
Alright, let's go, Uni.
Yippee! I leaned against him in silence the whole ride up the elevator as a soft hum filled the space between us. He was silent, but I could feel his eyes occasionally glancing at me, probably to make sure I wasn't about to pass out again. Not long after, we both arrived in front of room 025. He slipped the keycard into the door, and with a soft click, the lock disengaged. He creaked open the door to let us into the room. Stale air filled my nostrils.
We're here.
I nodded slowly, my head still foggy. but the relief of having a place to rest made my limbs feel just a bit lighter. Nice. Bed in the ceiling, 5 stars. I blubbered incoherently. Noel seemed to catch my meaning and giggled in reply. I'm glad it meets your high standards. I immediately plopped down the bed, feeling the mattress sink beneath me. Noel followed suit and set my bag gently on the nightstand. Get some rest. I'll make sure you're taken care of, don't worry. His voice was soft and careful, like he didn't want to startle me. I instantly closed my eyes from how soothing his voice was. In a smooth motion, he propped my torso and head up with one arm to reposition my head onto a soft pillow. He then draped the duvet over my cold body. I could hear the sound of running water soon after. I'm gonna clean your face first, okay, Uni? I gave a small nod, too tired to protest. He carefully wiped my face with a damp towel. His touch fed the light. The towel felt so cool and refreshing against my skin. Oh, clean. His voice was soft, almost a whisper, but it reached me clearly. I blinked at him slowly, a warm feeling blooming in my chest. It's late. I should go now. Just as he was about to stand up from the edge of the bed to leave, a weak request slipped out from my lips. Something in my subconscious didn't want him to leave. Not yet. Wait, no. Don't leave me alone. What do you mean? He looked at me with stark confusion. His brows knit together, as though questioning himself whether or not he had heard me wrongly, emboldened by the alcohol in my system. I sat up and immediately searched for the edge of his shirt sleeve to stop him from leaving, only realizing that I sounded more desperate for his company than I would have liked. Don't go. I need you here with me now. Noel's face flushed, a bright crimson immediately, and his gaze darted to the floor. It was as though he was afraid that the moment would become too real once our gazes met. Yini, I can't. You're drunk and clearly not thinking straight. We can't. He swallowed hard, his voice shaky and full of hesitation. Are you really sure you want this? His fingers curled nervously into the fabric of his pants. His body tense, caught in the pull between concern, temptation, and the overwhelming kindness that made him who he was. Let's do yes. I pulled him roughly to me, causing his whole weight to sink into the bed. The sudden movement caught him off guard, and he looked up at me with a mix of surprise and anticipation. Yes, I want you tonight. The unfamiliar sounds of soft snoring shook me awake from my slumber. To my horror, I realized with a jolt that this is not where I was supposed to be. And then we see Noel and he looks super pretty. Look at him! In my panic, I turned to look at the man sleeping soundly beside me. Look how cute he is! He looked almost angelic in his sleep, and for a moment I felt a twinge of envy. Golden strands of his hair spilled across the pillow like sunlight, soft and untamed. Part of me, I wanted to make a run for the night before I had a chance to face the weight of what had happened between us. But another part, the guilty one, thought maybe I owed him more than just a silent exit. I'm gonna wake him up. We did try and explore the make a run for it option, but it basically just very quickly leads you to like the next work day. I gently shook the sleeping man beside me. Wake up, Noel. His brows twitched as he stirred. When a low tired gaze finally settled on me, a slow lazy smile spread on his lips. Morning, Yini. His voice was husky from sleep and soft enough to send butterflies in my stomach. Good morning, Noel. What time is it now? He blinked slowly, his expression still foggy with sleep as he glanced around the room. I rummaged in my bag to fish out my phone. The battery... Okay, and then we chat to Ray, and she is rightfully upset with us. It's almost noon, 11:30 AM. We should get ready to check out. We can grab lunch together after this if you'd like. Oh, that's so cute. By the time I stepped out of the shower, Noel was already dressed. His hair was still slightly tousled, but still effortlessly neat. There's one place I've been meaning to try, if you don't mind having something sweet for your lunch. His eyes sparkled with childlike excitement that was hard to turn down. Oh, where is it? A new dessert crepe shop just opened nearby. It has glowing reviews online, so I thought we could check it out together. Sounds good. There was already a sizable queue forming outside by the time we arrived. The scent of the freshly made batter wafted through the air. A few girls who just exited the store held up their crepes for a selfie, their faces lit with pure glee. Taking a glance at the menu, I thought the crepes looked almost too cute to eat. As we waited in line for a seat, a thick awkward silence began to settle between us. I figured we needed to address the elephant in the room sooner or later. I had to strain my neck and tug on his shirt sleeve just to get his attention. He was just that tall. No, about last night. He blinked at me a few times as he recalled. Oh, about that. A bashful look flashed across his face as he rubbed his neck. Let's just keep everything between us. I promise I won't tell anyone. His words gave me the relief I was looking for the whole morning. Thank you, I appreciate it. Noel then pointed at the menu board, clearly trying to steer the conversation elsewhere. Or perhaps he was just afraid of getting into the details in a public setting. All these look so yummy. Did anything catch your eye? I will take the strawberry parfait. The strawberry parfait one looks yummy. I might order that. Noel chuckled softly. Great minds think alike. I think I'll get that too. We eventually make it to the ordering kiosk, and Noel helped me relay my order. When the total popped up on the screen, he stopped once he saw how much he had left in his wallet. I decided to pay for the both of us. I forgot that you paid for the room. Thanks for that. Noel blinked a few times, surprised at my assertiveness.
Wait, you don't have to...
It's fine, there's always next time. There was a pause before a thankful smile spread across his face.
Thank you, Uni. I'll get the next one, I promise. You're so cute.
The way his vision lingered on me for a second too long almost signaled to me that he wasn't expecting this small gesture to mean as much as it did. With our food in hand, we decided to grab a table near the window to enjoy them. As the midday sun caught on our crepe wrappers, it made them look way more aesthetic. People around us were already taking photos of theirs, and honestly, I was tempted too. I dug through my bag again for my phone, but it failed to turn on when I attempted to unlock it. My phone was dead. Of course it was. Just my luck. I turned to Noel, hoping he could help. Noel, does your phone still have any juice? Mine's totally dead. But I thought of taking a few photos of our crepes so that I could update my story on my IG later. You look like I just asked him to solve world hunger.
My phone's kinda old and the camera quality's not exactly story-worthy.
He reached into his pocket and pulled out a phone I hadn't seen in years. A Samsung Focus. That model was from like last decade. I gasped in horror. Noel's smile faltered slightly at my visceral reaction.
It still works, so I didn't see the point in getting a new one.
No, I didn't mean to offend you. What did I say? I didn't mean to offend you. I'm just surprised that the phone still exists and works. Fascinating. I scrambled to explain myself, panicking a little after seeing the sunken look on his face.
It's fine. I got this from my late aunt, actually. It holds a lot of old memories. I just don't have the heart to let it go.
Oh, that's really sweet of you. If it's okay with you, can I take a picture of us with our crepes with it? I reckon it'll come with a cool vintage filter. Noel smiled and faintly handed me the phone and positioned it to capture both of our faces. Click! The photo had a low-res, yet old-school grainy charm to it. It actually looked kinda cool. Curious about the finer details of the photo, I tapped into the photo gallery. But one accidental swipe later, I stumbled upon his family photo. It depicted a man, a woman, and a child standing between them. The woman looked eerily... Hey, I was reading that. The woman looked eerily familiar, while the child was a spitting image of Noel, but younger with shorter hair. I don't know why eerily familiar. Before I could fully piece together my conclusions, the phone was snatched away from my hands.
Sorry, you weren't supposed to see that.
I didn't mean to, I promise. I'm so sorry for overstepping. Noel let out a small sigh before giving me a small forgiving smile.
Don't worry about it. I'll send you the picture of the crepes later.
We ate our crepes in a quiet lull until my little intrusion. Hoping to break the tension, I tried to start a conversation. What should I ask him? Duration or working? How long have you worked at Pixel Playground? Noel turned to look at me, quiet for a moment, as if digging through old memories.
I think it's been about 4 years since I joined.
He paused, a nostalgic smile tugging at his lips. You could say then, I was part of the core team. When the studio just opened, I remember there were job ads everywhere at the time. I tried applying even though I didn't have a degree, just some design experience from my part-time job. Who would have thought that I'd actually get in? I certainly didn't. Riku was so kind as to take a chance on me. I absolutely didn't think I was qualified for the job, and yet it's been 4 years since that fateful day. How time flies. If you could trade jobs with anyone at Pixel Playground for a day, who would it be? Noel frowned slightly to mull the hypothetical question over.
I guess I'd trade with Kareem.
He let out a soft chuckle.
I've always admired how sociable he is.
Over the years, I've seen him interact with just about everyone in the studio without breaking a sweat.
No matter when it came to clients, vendors, artists.
Basically anyone who lived and breathed, he could strike up a conversation and turn them into his best friends in a jiffy. He glanced down at his crepe, a little sheepish.
I've always thought it would be nice to connect with more people. Best if I could get rid of this social anxiety of mine completely.
What should I ask him? About lunch meals? Who do you normally hang out with during lunchtime? Noel's eyes lit up at the question.
I like having lunch with Kyle. He's in his bulking season now, so he always buys a ton of food. Most of the time he ends up sharing it with me.
That made me smile. That's so nice of him. Do you think he'll share if I join too? Noel laughed, clearly amused.
You'll have to ask him yourself. Me personally, I'd be more than happy to have you join us during lunch.
No, continue. After lunch, I figured it was time for us to part ways. I should probably head back now. I have a worried housemate to deal with.
Thanks, Uni. Today was fun. And don't worry about yesterday night. It's our little secret, yeah?
I nodded quickly so that he couldn't see the blush creeping up my cheeks. Thanks a lot for taking care of me. See you Monday, Noel.
See you Monday.
Well, we are back here. And that is Noel's parts done. So we've just got 2 options left. We got Riku's ending and then the interns. So we are back here. Let's chat to Riku. I spotted my new boss, Riku, sitting alone at one of the tall tables tucked quietly into the corner of the bar. Oh, he's so pretty. He was away from the crowd, half swallowed by the dim overhead lighting. I almost couldn't see him by the way he blended so well into his surroundings. In his hand was a delicate glass of red wine. Its surface barely rippled, like he hadn't taken more than a single sip. He wasn't scrolling through his phone or pretending to be busy. Instead, he was quietly observing. His sharp eyes scanned the bar, watching the groups of his coworkers and subordinates chat and laugh and drink around him. The wine glass turned slowly between his fingers, more a habit than a conscious action. Despite being the one who orchestrated the event and the possibility the reason everyone was here, he seemed to be isolated from the celebration. He didn't look uncomfortable, just detached, like he rather studied the mood than partake in it. He noticed I was making my way towards him, a small smile forming on his lips. It was polite and practiced, as if he'd done this a million times before. I knew because I saw that it didn't quite reach his eyes.
Hello, Uni. Care to join me?
There was something in his tone that was calm, almost too calm, like he'd been expecting company but didn't particularly crave it. I'd love to. I took a seat across from him, unsure whether I was interrupting his thoughts or giving him a break from them.
What do I owe the pleasure of having your company?
He swallowed the wine in his glass lazily, his eyes still watching the room more than me. He barely managed to hide the sarcasm in his voice, or maybe he wanted me to hear it. To scare me off? With liquid courage coursing through my veins, I wasn't so easily intimidated. I was looking around for people to talk to and you just caught my eye, sir. I tried to play it cool. I was sure that he was able to see through my whole facade. I thought it'd be a good idea to try and get to know my boss a little better. He paused and looked at me. It was as though he was trying to gauge if my words had a deeper meaning to them. Once he was satisfied, he let out a small amused breath.
Is that so?
His lips curved slightly, more genuine this time, but I couldn't read what was on his mind. It was obvious that he wouldn't let me.
You're certainly braver than most interns I've met up until now. Most just avoid me unless they have a report to submit.
He lets out a dry chuckle.
I even had that one intern who was so scared of me that he used Kyle just to get through to me. The poor guy didn't even realize he was being manipulated until I pointed it out. He genuinely thought the intern had stomach problems every time he had to submit their weekly report to me. I swear he has more brawn than brain sometimes.
He raised his glass to examine it before taking a quiet sip. His face suddenly cringed. The moment the wine touched his tongue, the bitter taste catching him off guard. He quickly masked it, as to not show any sign of displeasure in front of me.
I don't understand why people enjoy this.
He muttered, eyeing the red liquid like it personally offended him.
Tastes like medicine soaked in old wood.
He turned his gaze to me then, subtle shift in his expression. His violet eyes now shimmered with a spark of amusement. And before I could ask him how he knew what old wood tastes like, he interrupted my train of thought.
Now's your chance, intern, ask away.
Hobbies. What do you like to do for fun? Riku swirled the wine in his glass slowly, watching the liquid catch the dim light, as if it might reveal something he couldn't say out loud.
You don't know what I do for fun?
He repeated the question, almost thoughtfully, before offering a low measured chuckle.
I don't have time for fun. Work keeps me occupied 24/7.
I'll keep you occupied, if you know what I mean.
I find satisfaction in solving problems, reviewing proposals, and making sure that everything runs as smoothly as they should. Call me an old geezer or a robot if you may, but that's where I find my joy and purpose in life, I suppose. That in itself is what I find fun.
Okay, that's fair. I also do like my job quite a bit. He took a sip of the wine he detested so much, his expression unreadable.
That's what I usually tell people anyway. This question comes up so often that I already have a script memorized. I don't really like to reveal too much about myself. That's not really my style.
Then why'd you tell me to ask? A brief pause. I could sense there was more he wanted to say. I waited in silent anticipation.
However, if I must answer, I do like to play the piano.
He said that in a steady tone, but the way he said it felt to me like it was something personal he hadn't shared in a long time. And just as quickly, the moment passed. He set down his glass and straightened his posture. What are your ambitions? What's something you've always wanted to try but haven't yet? Riku gave the question a moment of calm contemplation, swallowing the untouched wine in his glass as though he was weighing how much of himself he should reveal to the babbling intern sitting opposite him.
I suppose the answer is fairly standard. I've always been expected to complete, inherit, and eventually lead my father's company. So in a way, that's always been where I'm headed to. It's what I've been preparing for my whole life.
He glanced at me for a split second.
I wouldn't say it's something I've always wanted to do. More so, it's a path that's been laid out for me for a long time now.
That's kind of sad.
And when you're in my position, straying too from that path isn't really an option.
His voice was smooth, almost rehearsed. It gave just enough warmth to sound polite, yet it was distant enough to make it clear that Mr. Riku Murasaki, son of a multi-million-dollar creative empire, was the only version of himself that he allowed the world to see.
In any case, I prefer to focus on the now rather than hope for a future that might not even come to fruition. Lofty dreams can wait till after I'm at the top.
He took a slow sip of his wine, the conversation expertly redirected away from anything too personal. I nodded slowly, sensing that I was reaching the limit of what he'd be willing to share. I see, you're mighty impressive, sir. I'm sure you make a great heir. There was a brief silence, the air between us felt somewhat tense now. Riku returned to his slow swirling of his wine, his expression composed. But I could hear the cogs turning in his head, as if he was processing my statement earlier with a stony silence. I decided not to push further. Whatever thoughts were locked behind his eyes, they weren't meant to be pried open tonight. So I simply sat there, letting the moment settle, the soft hum of the bar around us filling the space where deeper questions might have gone.
Don't go silent on me now. Didn't you say you wanted to get to know me better?
Taste in media. What's your go-to genre for movies or shows? Riku gave a soft hum of consideration, his fingers lightly tracing the stem of his wineglass.
Historical films, mostly. They help make the past feel a bit more bearable, digestible even. It certainly beats reading dry reports every day.
He said it with a faint smile. It was just the kind of answer that gave something enough without revealing too much. Just enough to make sure that he plays his character well. God, I wonder if like this line here is intentional. He plays his character well, because we know that like something is controlling something. And someone has his eyes on all of us, so I wonder if this like line is intentional. I wonder if Riku knows what's going on. Apart from that, I like to keep myself updated with world news, helps me stay informed. But it's much more of a habit than something I like to watch, really. He swelled the wine in his glass again, his eyes focused on the gentle ripple inside. I watch documentaries sometimes too. Only if they're relevant to my work though. I prefer things with substance, but it feels unproductive to spend time on pure entertainment. He glanced at me briefly with his practiced smile, the kind that revealed little. I tried my best not to take offense at his remark. I suppose the habit's just stuck since it's the only thing I've ever known since I was a kid. I was raised with the principle of being efficient with my time and energy, even during periods of rest. Anything else you want to know? Nope, that's all. The silence between us was suddenly broken by the sharp ring of a phone.
Riku reached into his coat pocket and glanced at the screen, his expression unreadable. Excuse me, I need to take this.
He looked up at me with his usual polite, distant smile. I sensed that he wanted to take the call in private. Alright, I'll head elsewhere, sir. Thank you for taking the time. Without missing a beat, he spun around to pick up the call. I made my way outside the bar, letting the cooler night air clear my head. My thoughts lingered on the conversation I just had with my supervisor, Mr. Riku. He was certainly diligent in keeping the distance from everyone. I was sure that I wasn't the only one being given his kind of treatment. The way he kept everyone at arm's length signaled that he did not want to mix his personal life and career together in the slightest. Perhaps his logical mind just didn't see the point in doing so. Luckily, the alcohol I consumed throughout the night was just enough to give me a happy buzz. Oh, I'm not drunk this time. I felt a bit lightheaded, but it wasn't anything a slow walk home couldn't fix. Just as I was about to pack up and walk towards the direction of my apartment, my ears picked up on the sounds of someone calling my name from behind.
Heading back already, Uni.
I turned around to see Mr. Riku standing just outside the bar, one hand tucked into his coat pocket, the other still holding his phone loosely, his expression as cool as can be. Yes, sir, it's getting late.
Riku glanced back towards the curb as a sleek jet black sedan pulled up in front of the bar. His ride was clearly miles above what the average person could afford. It was the kind of car that purred rather than roared. His placid eyes lingered on it for a second before shifting back to me.
Do you need a ride? There was a pause. The question came out casual and almost offhanded, but something in his gaze suggested it wasn't made lightly. Sure, because if you say it's fine, it just gives you that other ending again, the scary one. Sure, that'd be great, sir.
Come along now.
He then ushered me towards a sleek vehicle parked nearby. The driver sat in the front seat, hands on the wheel, waiting patiently. Without a word, Riku stepped ahead and opened one of the doors at the back.
After you.
I climbed in, feeling slightly surprised by the gesture as I settled into the cool leather seat. Riku took a seat beside me before closing the door. No. The driver glanced back through the rearview mirror and prompted me to my drop-off point. I gave him the name of my building and street number and was all the information that he needed. A polite nod later, he shifted the car into gear and we were on our way. As we pulled away from the bar, the CCTV shimmered across the tinted windows. I stole a glance at Riku. For someone who keeps his walls high, moments like this just make him feel a little more real. But throughout the short drive, silence sat thick between us. Neither of us said a word. I keep my eyes fixed outside of the window, letting the blur of the passing streetlights distract me from the fact that I was sitting beside my superior, in an expensive car that smelled faintly of leather and something expensive. I couldn't name, no less. Every so often, I caught my reflection in the glass, trying not to overthink how quiet everything felt. The car eventually slowed to a stop in front of my apartment building. I blinked, trying to pull myself out of the lull of the streetlights and the quiet hum of the engine. The driver stepped out to open the door, but Riku reached over and did it first.
Be sure to get home safe.
I carefully stepped out of the car, making sure I didn't fall face first onto the pavement. It's nice of him to drive us home. The cool night air helped sober me slightly. I turned back to face him one last time. Thank you very much for the ride, sir. I appreciate it. He gave a small nod, his expression unreadable in the shadows of the car interior. See you next Monday, sir.
Yes, Monday.
Without another word, the driver closed the door shut and drove the vehicle away smoothly, vanishing into the night. I stood on the side of the quiet road for a moment before making my way into the building. The moment I unlocked my unit and went inside, I let out a long exhale. The warm shower washed away the haze of the night. The laughter, the drinks, the strange tension with Riku. After slipping into my comfiest jammies, I curled myself up snugly in bed. The sheets felt cool under my skin. As I crawled under the covers, I let out a long sigh, allowing my body to finally relax. As I closed my eyes,
The thoughts of the night faded into the background. And that was Riku, so I have one final option I want to do though, which is chat to the interns. I scanned the room, searching for where the girls had run off to. The bar was buzzing with low chatter and the soft pulse of music. My gaze finally landed on them standing at a high table in the corner. They looked like they were having a good time. Drinks in hand, it seemed to be a deep conversation with the occasional laugh, along with the lively atmosphere. The dim lights caught the gleam of their earrings and the shimmer of their outfits as they swayed slightly to the beat. Ren spotted me from across the room and waved enthusiastically, her eyes lighting up as she signaled for me to come over. "Over here, come." She patted the empty space beside her at the table, her smile warm and inviting as Peony turned their head to see what was going on. I made my way over, feeling a little more at ease with each step. Peony, however, looked grumpy again with her arms crossed and her brow slightly furrowed, like my mere existence was ruining her vibes. Despite her apparent displeasure, she didn't say anything and just watched silently as I joined their table. Well, if it isn't Miss Social Butterfly, I thought you were busy mingling with the guys. How come you're here with us instead? Are you jealous? Her tone was casual, but the edge in her words didn't go unnoticed. She sipped her drink with a raised brow while waiting for my answer. "Can I join the fun too? I miss you guys already. We had such a great time earlier." Ren grinned at my comment. Not long after, she raised her glass in her hand in a little cheer. "Oh, look at you getting all sentimental. We do make pretty good friends, don't we?" Peony rolled her eyes, but the corner of her mouth twitched like she was fighting a smile. Must be the cocktails talking. Even with her incessant grumbling, she didn't walk away. I reckon that was probably as close to affection as we could get with her for the time being. Since we're all here, let's spill some tea, preferably on the coworker variety. Who should we talk about? Riku. And ducked in closer to whisper. Did you guys know that Mr. Riku is the son of a multi-million-dollar conglomerate known as the infamous Murasaki Group? He's like legit the direct heir to the Murasaki Empire as a second son. Peony's eyes widened. Her arms remained crossed as her expression shifted from skeptical to contemplative. Wait, our supervisor is the Riku Murasaki? I had no idea. Seriously? Who would have thought? Ren gave a sly smile and nodded. Yep, he's the second son in the current Murasaki family from a long line of extremely affluent predecessors. So he's basically royalty. I guess this kinda explains why I act so stiff around everyone. Peony gave a slight nod before letting her gaze settle on her supervisor sitting by himself across the bar. Rumors say that he's the type to work harder than anyone else in the company. Yet he's not the type to lord it over subordinates' heads either. That earns him a bit of respect in my book. Usually hear cases where nepotism runs companies to the ground and incompetent successors ruining company culture. Yet everyone seems to love and respect Mr. Riku here very much. Right? But it also makes me wonder, why would someone like him be sent here of all places? Pixel Playground Studios is just a mid-sized studio. We're not even that famous outside of our home country yet. I'm sure that the Murasaki family must have high hopes for all their children. Heck, even the eldest son is taking care of a billion-dollar venture capital firm, and this is what the second son got? Something sounds fishy to me. Can't think of it this way. Maybe it's some kind of test. You know how in K-drama CEO would throw their kids into the deep end to see if they manage to sink or swim? Well, that might make sense, but to be given a fully furnished office housed in a building owned by the Murasakis? Talk about being born with a silver spoon in your mouth. If it were me and I really wanted to test the capabilities of the future heir on my throne, I would have had him prove his own mettle by starting from zero. We're nowhere near those types of elite circles, so who's to say anyways? For all you know, this could have been a gift for his 21st Christmas or something. Or perhaps he was the one who specifically requested to be tested this way. Could have been his own choice to lead a creative studio instead of tackling what we deem as bigger things. Everyone is chasing different things in life after all. And shrugged, still skeptical. Maybe. Either way, I'm watching him. There's definitely more than meets the eye, I just don't know it. He smirked, the edge of her suspicion softened by a growing curiosity. Well, whatever it is, at least he's more capable than Israel. You have to respect the man for that. The conversation mellowed as they all quietly took a sip from their drinks, each quietly filling in their theories about their mysterious creative director. Oh, who's next? Julian. Peony's vision flickered to Julian, who was sitting alone at the corner table nursing what looked like an untouched mocktail. He was sitting on a bar stool, with his back straight against the table and fingers loosely interlaced. His eyes scanned the room as if he was looking for someone. Peony narrowed her eyes slightly. It's weird that Mr. Emo Man over there was sitting alone while we're all celebrating. Ren leaned in with a cheeky grin. She gave us a pair of jazz hands as she explained. I know, right? He gives it the whole tragic prince from a gothic novel vibe. All he's missing is a thunderstorm and a fancy gothic prince costume to set the mood. I gave a small shrug. I mean, being introverted isn't a crime, right? Maybe he has social anxiety. Not everyone else handles big crowds the same way. Peony tilted her head, still heavily scrutinizing the poor guy. I can't tell. He just radiates an I don't want to talk to anyone aura the whole time. Ren smirked.
I don't know, I'm sensing more of a I know all your secrets and I'm judging you silently aura. I chuckled, pretty sure he's just trying to stay out of the spotlight. I can sort of relate in a way. We all glanced back towards Julian. He hadn't moved much, but there was something thoughtful about the way he was watching the room, like he was observing, not avoiding. Peony crossed her arms. Still, why is he so guarded during company function anyway? Ren tapped her finger against her chin. I heard he keeps a notebook with him everywhere. What do you think's in it? Work sketches? Secret poetry? Peony scoffed. I know it might be a burn book for all you know. I smiled. I bet he's dying to write down an entry about how 3 nosy interns are boring a hole into his skull right now. The 3 of us laughed, letting the speculation drift into light-hearted teasing. Still, a quiet part of me couldn't shake the feeling that the reason why Julian was so distant wasn't because he was arrogant. It might be the fact that the man just wanted to protect his peace. So about Kyle. Ren let out a low whistle the moment she laid eyes on Kyle. I totally wanted to do the same. Even with a thick layer of sweater covering his torso, you could still see the outlines of his well-trained muscles underneath. Ren leaned forward with a smirk dancing on her lips. Okay, I know I said I wasn't into gym bros, but I'll make an exception just for him. Peony rolled her eyes, her crossed arms never leaving her chest ever since I came. Oh please, you're more for anyone with broad shoulders and big biceps. Don't act like you didn't stare too, Peony. Peony scoffed, but I could see a faint blush creeping up her neck. I was just admiring the quality of his sweater. Sure, totally believe you. We all laughed at the same time. Across the bar, we could all hear Kyle laughing loudly at something Uncle Kareem had said. He tilted his head back and slapped his knees in pure glee. Do you guys think he's single? Even if he is, you guys can have him. I prefer not to get crushed by a single flick of his fingers. Peony took another sip of her drink, shaking her head with a smirk. Let's just hope he doesn't catch us gawking. If he does, I'll just say we were just admiring his sweater. I giggled at a newfound inside joke as my eyes flicked back to Kyle one last time. Right, his sweater. We clinked our glasses together, gossip fading into laughter as the night carried on. Alright, let's talk about Kace. As Ren turned to look in Kace's general direction, she gasped and nudged my arm. Oh my god, look, Kace is with 2 other women, and I don't think either of them are from the studio. Peony leaned in to get a better look. They seem awfully cozy, especially the one on the left. Look at the way she's clinging to his arm. The girls continued to giggle and make playful comments. As my eyes locked onto Kace, I seemed to notice something they didn't. His smile didn't quite reach his eyes. One of the women began leaning in, way too close for comfort, her hand resting lightly on his arm. For a moment, Kace's gaze flicked right across the room and landed right on me. His eyes widened just slightly when his gaze met mine, but just enough to betray his supposed happy, chilled face. He looked away the very next second, schooling his face back into something more neutral. Then, casually but deliberately, he shifted his arm and gently removed the woman's hand from his. He wasn't enjoying himself, he was pretending to. Peony scoffed under her breath. He probably loves getting all the attention. Please, that man looks like he's living the dream. 2 girls fawning over him? Who wouldn't kill for that? I know I would. I didn't join in their teasing, my eyes still locked onto him, watching the cautious mask settle back on his face. Who should we talk about next? Noel. We took a peek at Noel, who was happily munching on a basket of fries and sipping a melon soda float, completely so immersed in his own world. He looked so content, like nothing could bother him. Ren smiled softly. I honestly have nothing bad to say about this guy. Peony raised an eyebrow, her tone dry. Yeah, he looks harmless enough to me. He's kind of like a pet hamster. Cute, quiet, always nibbling on something. Aww. I chuckled. That's oddly specific. Peony shrugged. I'm just saying, he looks like a big softie and definitely acts like one too. Not my type, but I can understand why some people like this type of trope. Ren nudged her playfully. So you do know how to compliment people. We all began teasing each other after that. When I glanced back at Noel, I saw that he was still lost in his own little bubble. Ah, to be so unbothered by the thoughts of others. Such a bliss. Alright, that's all. Out of nowhere, a wave of dizziness hit me like a truck. Oh, are we getting drunk? Again? Hey girls, I think I'll step out for some fresh air. Need me to accompany you? That's fine, I'll just clear my head, it won't take long. Yeah, so this isn't the same as all the other ones, and we are throwing up. Oh gosh, you okay? And then Ren finds us this time. Yeah, I groaned, doubling over slightly. The heaving sensation tugged at my stomach in the worst way. I felt so nauseous that I began preparing myself for a second round of heaving. Ren reached up and gently steadied me, slipping an arm around my back. We should call it a night. I'm taking you home now. I'll make sure you get home safe, don't worry. I love her, she's so sweet. I felt too weak to protest, so I merely nodded in reply. What about Peony? She was booked a Brad ride home, so you don't have to worry about that anymore. You, on the other hand, yikes. I feel fine. That's what old drunkards say. Ren lets out a breath, half amused, half concerned. Let's get going then. Before it gets too late, remember to watch your step, okay? I'd hate for you to fall and ruin that pretty face of yours.
I point vaguely in the direction of my apartment, my groggy mind barely piecing together where home was. Ren followed my gesture, adjusting her hold on my shoulder without a word before beginning our journey. My steps were heavy, but she maintained a careful and patient pace throughout. I leaned into her warmth, grateful that someone was there to guide me through the blur of the city lights and the dizzying fuzz in my head. Ren steadied me as we stopped in front of the building. Alrighty, wakey wakey, we're here. I nodded, barely keeping my balance. I had to go now before it gets too late. Do you have anyone who can get you upstairs? You're way too wasted to make it on your own. I clumsily fumbled through my purse. Finally managed to pull out my phone and dial the one person I trusted the most. She picked up almost immediately. Hey Annie, what's up? I'm in the middle of a stream right now. EP, please. Huh? Ren gently took the phone from my hand. Hey, sorry to interrupt. Yuni's too drunk to head upstairs by herself. We're right outside the building now. Are you able to come down and fetch her for me? I need to head back. Sorry. There was a pause. Ah, shit, I'm coming. 1 minute later, Ray appeared at the entrance of the apartment with her bright pink bunny jammies on. The first thing she did when her eyes landed on me was let out a loud, exaggerated sigh. Come here, you big baby. Ren passed the metaphorical torch to Ray. Except in this case, I was the torch. Jeez, how do you even get yourself into this state? It's Ren, right? Thanks for taking care of her for me. I appreciate it a lot. No problem. We had to look out for each other as interns. Let me get this big baby upstairs. Good night. See you soon, Ren. Great, goodbye. Ren waved at me before disappearing into the night, leaving Ray to wrangle me upstairs. It was supposed to be an honest attempt at a piggyback quickly turned into a semi-drag up the elevator. Ray was mumbling something under her breath about being in the middle of a stream, but I couldn't really process it at the moment. Everything felt like static and fog. When we finally made it back to the apartment, Ray tossed me onto my bed with a grunt. She then took a wet rag to clean my face and made sure I laid on my side. She even took the precaution to shift my wastepaper basket beside my bed just in case there were any more incidents throughout the night. Despite her grumbling, she still took much effort to care for me. So gently with that, I slowly fell into a deep sleep. Well, that is all the rats and all the scenes in the spicy version of Office Crush. I hope you guys enjoyed this as much as I did. I'm really impressed by how large this demo has gotten. Because previously the first version was like a lot smaller and there was a lot less lore in it. But this time the characters felt significantly more fleshed out. There was definitely a lot more lore and world building in this that was very interesting. Yeah, and like going back to the characters, I think like especially Riku has taken a very different turn to what I remember him as. And I think it sets up for something really interesting. But no, I really like how all of them maintain their personalities from the original story. But they have definitely been more like solidified and like have a much firmer identity. So I'm really excited to see where each person's route takes them. I also love that the developer kept alluding to the previous demo as well as like a different reality almost and tied it into the lore of the game. I thought that was super duper clever. But I hope you guys like this as much as I did. My throat is a little bit sore because I read for a lot. But genuinely, thank you so much for watching this with me. I hope you guys loved this because I absolutely sure did. Please feel free to check out this game. Link is in the description box below. And also, if you guys want the Patreon version with all the spicy scenes, which is the one that I played, feel free to check out Rienchi's Patreon as well. It's accessible by pressing this button in the game right here. But thank you so much for watching. I had so much fun with this video. And if you'd like to support my channel, please feel free to check out my Patreon, which is linked in the description box below as well. You get access to exclusive playthroughs, uncut reactions to spicy scenes, so all the spicy scenes in Office Crush will be uploaded there completely uncensored. And you'll also get a chance to see the sneak peeks into games that I'm currently making. Anyways, that's all for now. Thank you for your time, and until next time, take care.